Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me, and ease my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together.
1, 2, 3.
I can't see me loving nobody.
Hey, it's Friday. We made it. As they all say, we made it. We got there. We got to the finish line. The finish line of our 48-hour breather. And then we do it all over again. And it ain't that bad. What a privilege to be doing that. What a privilege. But I'm here with you tonight at the end of it. I know that we had a couple of scheduling reshuffles this week. I had a couple of things. Obviously tonight is one of them because Dr. Peter McCullough was going to be on with us, and now we will see when I'm able to get him back on the schedule, but between that and Wednesday night, we had a little bit of reshuffling, but it ended up being a wonderful week. Such great themes, great guests, great calls, it was a great week. I had a good time. I feel it's nice and balanced. And tonight will be just as well because though Dr. McCullough's not here, we've got a wonderful Friday night roulette of topics, and a lot of it was going to be health and nutrition based anyway because, we had Dr. McCullough coming on. So what I wanted to do instead was introduce you to our guest for the evening. First one up, you haven't seen him in a little bit, but he's I know everybody's going to be really happy to see this one over here. What's going on, Matt?
Hello, Francis.
Whoa. Hey, what's that shirt you're wearing?
Oh. We're with the Vipers.
Oh, we're with the Vipers. I need more Sopranos shirts. We're with the Vipers.
We're with the Vipers.
Oh man, I want that wine that they were drinking after that little boost there. And on the other side of the room is Jay Gulinello. What's going on, Jay?
Hey Frank, how you doing?
So this is the first time that you and Matt have met each other, which is exciting because I know that Matt is going to have a lot of questions that pop up along the way, and this is going to be good, man. This is going to be great, We're just hanging out on Friday night. I know Anthony's going to be swinging by at some point, so why not just get started? Did everybody have a good day?
Yeah, great day so far.
Good. Well, Jay, what have you eaten? When was the last time you ate?
Yesterday.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's always that, it just doesn't make any sense on days I come up here.
I know.
It's not worth it.
Whenever you come by, I usually just put my money on whether it's been 24 or 48 hours. It's usually around there. But I'm sure you have a ticker going.
25, almost 26.
26 hours almost. Hear that, Matt?
26 hours.
26 hours.
If I fall over, Matt, just...
I'll give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Even if you don't need it.
That's what he does. It's like the Sandlot over here.
It is the first time we've met, so...
I know, it's just a little bit too hot and heavy. But here's the other thing. I've got a lot of great stuff in this grab bag over here. We got Matt, we got Jay, soon Anthony. Thank you to all of our sponsors and friends and super chatters throughout the week. I just want to say, go to the affiliates page on quitefrankly.tv. Start with BlueMonsterPrep.com because everything, and then go to Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Go all over the place on the affiliates page, and that's my Friday plug for everybody. Please go and indulge. Here's what I want to bring up. First one we're going to is Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, obviously, because this is going to be a versus Trump thing in 2024, this is going to cause a little bit of discord. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he's thinking about launching a Democratic challenge to Biden for 2024 White House nomination. Now, obviously, he would be considered an outsider.
Yeah, so they would do what they do to every other Kennedy.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
So watch out. Change your name before you run, at least. But still, can you imagine, just if we can all just imagine for a second, a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. versus Donald Trump 2024? Can you imagine that?
You know, I don't know anything about any of his policies other than the fact that he's for medical freedom. So, I mean, you know, he's got my vote for that. But, I mean, you know, he hasn't been in the political sphere, so I have no idea what else he stands for.
Is he a Kennedy Democrat or is he a current-day Democrat? If he's a Kennedy Democrat,
yeah,
I mean, that kind of makes a difference.
I don't know. I mean, that would be whenever he'd have to publish his platform. Yeah. And that's when you get to read through all of that. But as you said, from what he has made himself very visible on in the last 3 or 4 years, even prior to COVID, you know, he's up there in the Del Bigtree kind of strata as far as vaccine skepticism goes, and wanting reviews on all these substances, and as you said, medical freedom. So. Hey, whatever.
Yeah, he got in trouble for trying to take his baby out of the hospital, right? That was him up there. He lives in Armonk or Bedford or something.
That was him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And if he let me run his campaign, I can guarantee him he'd win.
Oh, there's no doubt.
It'd be so easy. No, all I have to do is be like, yo, look, I know who killed my uncle. We're going to investigate him, and we're bringing people, you know.
We're going to kill them.
We're going to...
It's just...
He actually talks pretty candidly about the assassination of his father and JFK.
So right away you'd get, you know, a bunch of people that'll be like, all right, this guy's going to go after, you know...
Imagine the
CIA,
the declassified
FBI.
documents we would get.
He would... Oh. They would schedule him for a little tour of Dallas. They would schedule him for a tour of Dallas 2 days after the inauguration. Listen, we have some business down in Dallas. We got to bring you... You have to go sign some documents. Oh, yeah, no, that would be... anyway, people are going to be like, Matt is offering his assassination... He's offering his assassination services to RFK now? What's going on? No, Matt would only loyally serve Trump like that.
I'd do whatever he needed.
That's right. Okay, let's see here. The second one up... Now, Jimmy Kimmel, this scumbag... Oh, he's going after Aaron Rodgers now because Aaron Rodgers, he throwing out this tinfoil hat stuff at him and all that. Aaron Rodgers was on a podcast that I think he often goes on, and he said this. Let's see. This is from the New York Post. I have a few from the Post today. Where's Matt? I got to get him up on this screen too. Hold on. This could be. There's not enough. There's not enough spots for. Hold on.
It's okay.
Wait. There he is. All right. There, we're all at the bottom. Now nobody can read
the Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. All right. This week, Jimmy Kimmel went after Aaron Rodgers over his UFO Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theory, which I hate those two words. Yeah. Conspiracy theory, which is just a... Don't even go. I don't have to go.
It just means you have to wait until it becomes true, like the lab theory.
It's a very I don't know, elaborate way of saying bullshit.
Yeah,
that's the way they put it. But it's just so ridiculous because there's nothing but conspiracy.
It's intellectually lazy at this point. After the last 3 years,
very lazy.
What's the score?
In which the quarterback, his theories went that said maybe was serious, maybe joking a little bit at both about the former being a distraction, the UFOs being a distraction to keep people's minds diverted away from the impending release of the latter's Epstein's client list. Now, I don't know how much of a list people think they're going to get, but some are very confident that in further disclosures. What's going on? I mean, because Ghislaine Maxwell is still appealing because, and she's saying, and legally, technically, it may actually help her out that she has a non-prosecutorial agreement that was filed between Jeffrey Epstein and the federal government back in 2007. That means that they can't go after co-conspirators or anything else. So, I mean, and in that respect, there's just more of a reminder that the people who went after Jeffrey Epstein and supposedly prosecuted him, they were going easy on him because they've always known about him, and he was always acting under permission. permission of a higher powers. As we all know, Cindy McCain said the higher powers that made even our federal law enforcement shudder with fear. So he went on to talk about this, and Kimmel said this: all this UFO talk has the tinfoil hatters going wild. This is a guy that has pushed the most inane bullshit, including whack packer Aaron Rodgers, who offered his hot take on the Pat McAfee show. And I gotta say, Kimmel played the clip from February in which Rodgers said, "I believe that this has been going on for a long time. Interesting timing on everything. There's a lot of things happening in the world," and he's talking about the UFO and Epstein and all that stuff. But man, have you been following what Aaron Rodgers has been going through lately?
Yeah, didn't he lock himself in a room for like 4 days and 4 nights?
What do you think about that, Jay?
I think I had just heard about it when we were talking prior to going on air, but I think sensory deprivation is pretty incredible, and I think you could probably learn a lot about yourself. And you said 4 days?
Something like that. 4 or 6 or
no,
something?
it was 4 days. And apparently he said the first 2 days was
shrooms.
I don't know if he was taking hallucinant, but he did do ayahuasca. I don't know if he went in there high, but I forgot what he was contemplating the first 2 days, but I think he said that the third day he spent the entire day thinking about retirement, what life would be like if he stopped playing football, and then the fourth day was thinking about life playing football. But the first 2 days, I forget what he was doing. Still, to be that stripped away for 4 days.
I don't think most people could handle that, because we're in a climate where you've got your phone. You can't even. When was the last time you stood in line at the grocery store and just sort of like observed rather than go to your phone, or go to the bathroom without your phone?
I know.
So imagine that much time with no other stimulation but what's in your head. I mean, you got to learn something. So I mean, that's amazing. I said I was never a fan of his on the field, but since the way he stood up to the NFL in general, I mean, I've sort of. You have to have some respect for him at this point.
Here, Aaron Rodgers' tiny room at Sky Cave Darkness Retreat. The Darkness Retreat that Aaron Rodgers spent 4 days and 4 nights in southern Oregon is reminiscent of a hobbit cave. On Wednesday, the Packers quarterback emerged from his isolation room at Sky Cave Retreats in southern Oregon and left the facility. Owner Scott Berman told ESPN. Earlier this month, Rodgers, 39, said on the Pat McAfee show that he committed to the darkest retreat in an effort to help him decide on the NFL future and to have a better sense of where I'm at in my life. A May 2022 video by Yes Theory, a content creation company that encourages seeking discomfort to become the best version of yourself, gives a tour inside of the Darkness Retreats at Sky Cave Retreats, only publicly available Darkness Retreats center in the United States. In the video, Berman explains what it's like being in a darkness retreat while giving a tour of a solo dark room, in which is inside an earth-sheltered cave in the Cascade Wilderness outside of Ashland, Oregon. The video explores Yes Theory founder Amar Kendall's Darkness Retreat. Let's listen to this for a second. Oh, it's four minutes long.
Oh.
Wow.
Just watched the footage. I'm just wiping out.
So for those of you in podcast land right now, they have gone subterranean into what is a pretty much an underground apartment complex, and I have to imagine at one point the lights are going to go off and it is going to be black as pitch.
This is where we'll pass you food.
Okay.
People have really like vivid, lucid dreams. Sense of time is you're in the timeless. Right.
Timeless.
Yeah.
Timeless, underground, and dark,
And so, with the infrared cameras set up, Amar was finally ready to plunge into 5 days of total darkness.
This is it. Let me get one last, one final look outside.
One final look at the outside, huh?
It's just 5 days.
Oh, dude.
I was just doing like
I can't imagine 5
Did I
hours.
say before any hard thing? Give me power, give me strength. Amen.
Let there be light inside. So dramatic. See you guys.
See you in 5 days.
See you in 5 days.
And with that,
Here he goes. That's it? What? You feeling good? Oh my god, dude. Well, we'll come back in 24 hours.
Thank you.
geez, okay, so there's the first.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, wow's right. I don't know if I can handle. I'd have to go through several layers of building up.
Yeah.
To be able to get to something like that.
It's like cold therapy or any other kind of any hormetic stress that makes you uncomfortable. I mean that's serious, man. You're gonna learn something about yourself. 5 days.
You know, talking about inspiring change inside of yourself through discomfort. Here's something that I know that you'll have a personal opinion on, and I'm interested in it. But I'll tell you, when I start getting little smaller tastes of the big real deal, I start wondering how the hell I can do it, and that is the ice baths. I saw, and I know that one of the greatest, there are biological reasons why there are like endorphin releases. There's things that act biochemically that are triggered by these ice baths. 30 seconds to a minute a day and 32-degree water or whatever the hell it is. But I know also, above everything else, there's the mental toughness standpoint of it. This is from the AP. Of course, Jay, this is from the AP. Celebrities tout ice baths, but science on benefits is lukewarm. So pretty much saying that there's really nothing, you might get a little bit of, strengthening of the mind here, but what happens for the body? The heart. Cold water immersion raises blood pressure and increases stress in the heart. Studies have shown this is safe for healthy people and the effects are only temporary, but it can be dangerous for people with heart trouble. As far as metabolism goes, they just go through everything saying that marginal, maybe there's something there, but there's nothing that is definitive. What can you say on what you know about this?
I think, they're not entirely wrong, but there's definitely some anti-inflammatory benefit, and that's when at the retreat last year we did cold therapy with everybody there, and I did a short presentation on it, and so there were certain cytokines and certain pro-inflammatory markers that are reduced in that sense. Now, certainly people who have heart issues, we want to be careful of that, because essentially what you're doing is you're causing an intense stress temporarily in order to force the body to adapt to that stress. So yeah, of course, heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, all of those things, but so that the next time you're exposed to a stressor, your body has a handle on it and can adapt better. So that's the whole idea. Now, the one thing I will say, and I said this at the presentation, you don't want to use it post resistance training because it's anti-inflammatory. So after you train, the whole idea is breaking down muscle, and you want all that blood and all that pro-inflammatory action to help rebuild the muscle. So I tell people, if you're going to use it on your off days. You can use it maybe after endurance training, like running or something, but you don't want to use it after weight training. And a lot of people do that, but you can lose the benefits of muscle protein synthesis. So, there's definitely benefit. They're sort of, they're losing the nuance. Yeah, of course there's some things that if you looked at in isolation, they would be considered bad, but the whole idea is to get the body to adapt to that stress.
Gotcha. I know that Anthony went and did a few sessions. He's done at least 2 or 3 sessions at that cryo chamber that is in, I don't know, it's on the other side of our neighboring town. And they bring you down to like -300. I don't know what it is. They say
we were talking about that.
negative 8,000 degrees to Kelvin, to absolute
What's the
zero.
Scale?
They bring you down to absolute zero or something for like 30 seconds.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you start, Anthony needed to be coached through it because he felt his organs shutting down. But that can be applied to either a bad knee, or it could be head to toe, or neck to toe. And so I know that it's done. But
the first thing you'll get is that rush of adrenaline, right? Because your body knows something's wrong. Right? You're never exposed to that kind of thing. I experienced this firsthand when we did just ice water. And again, the day that we did it, it was for October. It was really warm. It was in the 60s and it was sunny. So it was actually a beautiful day to do it. But still, we dumped 20 pounds of fresh ice right out of the bags, right into the tub, and then you're right into the tub. So it's it's cold. It's not negative 300, but it's pretty cold. So you just have to get past that. And we had one of my friends was there, sort of coaching everybody through it. And it's really about breathing and sort of settling in. And then once you do settle in, it actually isn't that bad. Actually, moving around is what makes it bad. Like once you get in and you're sitting and you're just, you're in that space. One of your audience members, she was the queen of the cold plunge. She did 10 minutes in the ice. I only made 7.
Wow.
She made 10 minutes. I actually had to force her out because I was like, a liability. Get out of the tub.
Now, when you say I only made 7, is it that you limited yourself so that you could have kept going?
I could have, yeah. But it was 7 felt like enough. I did start to feel tingling in the extremities, and so.
Matt, you think you can do it?
No, I would be one of those people that have a heart attack.
I'm telling you, man, everybody.
Cold water, yeah, I'm not good with that.
Everybody did it, and with the group there, we would have gotten you through it. I mean, some people only made it a minute, but 60 seconds is a big deal. You could do it for a minute.
I'd probably be better off going into that fucking hut for 4 days.
I
would try. I mean, I do that. So I do the in the shower. I turn the hot water completely off sometimes.
In the summertime, I do that.
Yeah, in the summertime.
In the winter, I love hot showers.
This is easier than the shower because the water in the shower. I hate the cold showers because the water it's like pins and needles, right? In the water, it's still. So you find much more calm. I'm telling you, man, you could do it.
Man, oh man. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, before we go to start this off, I want to ask you. Hey, you know what? No, we're just going to start it because it's everything else that has that we have to do on tonight. I think this is going to be a good one, Matt. Make sure you ask all the questions you got because this is going to be, as always, a big roller coaster and hell. Let's get started. Share the show far and wide, ladies and gentlemen. I put all the links across the socials. You know where they are. Like the stream if you're watching this on YouTube. Encourage all your friends in the chat room to like. Let's try to get the likes even with people who are watching because then we can probably jog this thing loose in the middle of a stream and bring more people in and actually see it grow, especially on Rumble. So Rumble on YouTube. Please help me out over there, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're watching on Theta, if you're watching on QuiteFrankly.tv, on Twitch, on DLive, on Rockfin, please enjoy yourself and just kick back, relax, and let's get this one going. Don't go anywhere.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, and the whole world smiles at you. And when you're laughing, when you're laughing.
Hey, I want to ask you. So, welcome to the show. It's the pre-show is done, and this is Quite Frankly. Jay, let me ask you this. I think we spoke about this on the show once before. And it's an important question. There is a guy who was lost at sea for 24 days. We covered this, at least I did, months ago. I don't know why it's popping up again. Maybe they're just doing a checkup on him. Elvis Francois was lost at sea for more than 20 days with nothing to eat but ketchup and seasoning. When he closed his eyes and went to sleep, he mostly dreamed of limes. I was so thirsty, said the 47-year-old, who would fantasize about squeezing the green citrus and squirting the juice into his throat. Mr. Francois spent 24 days drifting across the Caribbean Sea from St. Martin to the coast of Colombia. before he was rescued by Colombian Navy in January. Mr. Francois said that he survived by slurping a soupy concoction of ketchup and seasonings. News of his ordeal prompted Heinz, the namesake ketchup brand of Kraft Heinz Company, to launch a social media campaign last month asking people to locate Mr. Francois so the company could help him buy a new boat. So my question for you is, what kept him alive? Is it just calories? Just that he had some calories, or what kept him alive with the seasoning / soupy ketchup mixture?
The only thing I can think is the sodium, because that's really one of the most important nutrients. I mean, you can fast for how many days? 20 something?
Well, he was at sea for 24.
Yeah, so I mean, you can certainly fast for 24 days. That's not, the record for the longest fast is close over 300. So you can certainly fast. So I'm
wait. Over 300 days not eating anything?
Yeah.
Gandhi.
Well, this was, I don't know how long Gandhi fasted.
Gandhi, he did it for like 2 days. I don't know what the big deal is about him.
Lightweight rookie.
Why do people keep talking about this guy?
Who's this Gandhi guy? No, it was Banting. He was a super obese guy, and anyway, but yeah, he fasted for over 300 days under doctor supervision.
Okay.
And so electrolytes are the biggest thing. So I'm thinking the seasonings and the ketchup probably provided enough electrolytes to help keep everything going, because I'm assuming if he was at sea, he didn't have any water either, right?
That's what I have to imagine.
You drank his urine.
Yeah, you can drink your pee.
Right. And the thing is, straight water is not really what hydrates you. It's the minerals. So that's going to be my best guess, is going to be the mineral content and the sodium of the spices and the ketchup.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you because I knew there had to be some kind of a reason for it, because that was the thing. I was thinking about the water. I know that you're a lot more flexible with how you can survive without having any solid food.
Right.
But water, it's maximum 3 days? Yeah,
it's not very many. So that makes me think even more that if he had no water, it had to have been the minerals.
Yeah. I even sprinkle just a tiny little bit of sea salt into every last one of Aurora's water bottles.
Yeah.
So I make sure she gets those minerals in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
just don't drink it from the ocean or it'll kill you.
I know. Yeah. What is that? Okay. Can you explain that to me too? I know that there's desalination, there's everything else, but if you were to just water down, if you were to dilute seawater, can you drink it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I got to think that it's overload, right? That has to be what it is.
Well, I'll tell you what happens is the salt, it takes the oxygen out of your blood.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean it takes the oxygen out?
I don't know. That's what it does.
It just stops you. It suffocates you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, we're gonna have to look into this.
We're gonna have to look into this one. I don't, because that's what I keep. It'll get you sick. Is it because the ocean is polluted, or is it because it's just it's just?
I'm gonna go back to mineral imbalance then, maybe. So, but now I really want to know. Well, see, this is what happens when I'm on your show. Things come up, and then I'm gonna go look it up.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the phenomenon of people like going into a coma if they were to slug a pint of soy sauce. Have you heard about that?
And they wake up?
No. That soy sauce can put people into like a catatonic state if they're to chug the whole damn thing. I've heard about this. That maybe it's just the density of it. It just blacks you out. I don't know.
I think there's just too much. Something is too much sodium.
Well, yeah, absolutely, because it can throw off the sodium-potassium balance in the cells, and so yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna find out though.
Yeah, we will. Not to Jay. The last time that you were in here, and I know that you probably had some awesome questions to ask Dr. McCullough, and we'll get around to that one day, I'm sure. When he comes on, I'll make sure you know the date.
Yes.
But since the last time you were on here, the lab leak theory, that's been validated to at least a degree. And it proves once again that whenever the new media sinks its teeth into a story, it's not only has the best chances at finding out what actually happened. The new media has the best chances of finding out what happens, because obviously there's no corporate advertising restrictions, but always it always ends up showing that not only are the conspiracies what run the entire world, but that extends to the way that these issues are reported on. So you have the corporate news, you have the conspiracy, you have the plot, and then you have the corporate news that conspires on top of it to shape the opinion on the original conspiracy, like gain of function. And that leads us to other conspiracies between teachers' unions to do harm to children, and with school closures and masks, and then of course the vaccine that was just waiting in the wings. And now here we are on the other side of that, and there's even more information conspiracies to be able to divert eyes away from what the hell's going on, not only with people who are getting affected by the shots, but even these other sideline stories that are coming out right now that confirm other suspicions we had about donated blood. We were like, we're saying it's one thing if you take great care in avoiding all of these new injections and things like that, but what happens if, God forbid, you're in you have a traumatic situation where you have trauma and you have lost blood, you need a transfusion.
Yeah.
And now you know that over 80% of the blood supply has these spike proteins in it. I mean, it's frightening. I mean, I know a few people who have actually banked their own blood for that kind of a thing. Matt, what do you think about that?
I don't.
He doesn't like this kind of stuff.
I don't like talk. No, I mean, you can talk about it. I'm just.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't like it either.
I mean, no, it's not a pleasant thought, especially if you've spent this entire 3 years taking care of yourself and staying away from that stuff, and then all of a sudden you're forced into a situation where you need it. I mean, that sucks.
Well, and here's an older. Well, it's from October of last year, but just remember, things like this are down the pike. Here's from Bloomberg. Cancer vaccine could be available by 2030, says scientists behind the COVID shots.
Oh dear.
So,
well, let's hope it's as safe and effective.
Yeah, let's hope this one is.
They should try it on themselves first, or whoever is working for their company that might have cancer. They should try it on themselves first.
Well, they can't. Vaccines are supposed to They're supposed to work. Well, they're supposed to be there before you're already You're already infected with something.
I have to say, I mean, without knowing the mechanism of that vaccine, that sounds insane to me, especially if you think that cancer is a metabolic disease. How can you, and I do. I mean, I've seen, I feel like Thomas Seyfried comes up every time I'm on this show, but he's the researcher, doctor, lipid biochemist in Boston at Boston College that does extensive work on cancer, on aggressive cancers with people. He uses hyperbaric oxygen. He uses ketogenic therapies in order to essentially starve the cancer cells of their fuel sources. So how can you vaccinate against a broken metabolism? I mean, so to me, again, without understanding, I mean, maybe they're still looking at cancer as a genetic disease, which has been the way they've been looking at it ever since DNA was discovered, because it makes money. But a cancer vaccine is frightening, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, what about I hear a lot about cancer viruses too. Back when I was learning about, I forget what it was, the simian virus. There was a specific timeline in the late 50s, early 60s with the polio vaccine, where they admitted that there was a cancer virus had tainted these polio vaccines. That they were, and I started. So when you say metabolic, and then I started thinking about every time that I've heard somebody talk about viruses that cause cancer or whatever, what would be the difference there? Would they be treated the same way then, or what?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, certainly, I guess a virus could, depending on the virus and how it works, I suppose it could, if it impacts the nuclear DNA and causes mutations or damages the mitochondria in some way, that's a form of metabolic dysfunction. So I guess the root of the problem would be the only difference. You can break your metabolism essentially with a poor lifestyle, or there can be some event, a virus, an exposure to something, but it all comes down to the mitochondria and the cell not functioning properly, and then that causes that out of control cell growth and the inability of cancer cells to die, which they're supposed to do. So
perhaps regardless of what causes it, once it has affected the body metabolically, then the same thing could be hopefully applied as a way to treat it.
Right.
Yeah, because here it is. This is from a a 2004 article, but there's many out there. Polio vaccine, simian virus 40, SV40, and human cancer. The epidemiologic evidence for a casual association. They say that the SV40 was discovered to have contaminated up to 30% of the polio vaccines in the United States between 1955 and 1963. So, I mean, those are just one famous example of this. And, you know, so I'm glad I
yeah, and
to ask.
the things, you know, that I would love to talk to Dr. McCullough, because he had just published an article on a supplement that I've used before called nattokinase that he is saying is the most promising therapy for anyone who's been injured by this, you know, gene therapy, and potentially natural infection too, because of its ability to break down the spike protein. So what I was going to ask him was also about a paper in 2021 that proposed 2 agents for a similar purpose, which is bromelain, which is a pineapple extract, and N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to the body's antioxidant system. And they're both able to break down spike protein and envelope protein. And so what I wanted to ask him was whether he also thought the nattokinase, because it actually can break down clots. So I was wondering if it could be sort of a dual purpose. So it could head the problem off at the pass by the body producing that spike protein, but also deal with the clotting and the microclotting downstream. So if that's the case, you could combine those 3 therapies, and you could essentially make something that could protect people from, you know, who've already gotten this gene therapy and they're suffering from, you know, symptoms because of it. So I think next time he's on, it would be a worthwhile question to ask, because if that's the case, those are cheap over-the-counter supplements that could make a huge difference.
Okay, well, and here's another one. Since that was for clots, and before we were talking about cancer, and in general, when we talk about dieting and, you know, shedding ourselves of fat and getting our metabolic rates up, and just being clean and energetic and processing food well, there was another New York Post article I saw. This is from 2 days ago. Here's the headline: Why keto and paleo diets are the worst popular weight loss fads. Now, we can go into them.
I always laugh at those headlines.
I know. The trendiest way to lose weight may also be the unhealthiest and worst for the environment. New research has found.
It's always got to be bad for the environment and or you.
Right. People hope to shed a few pounds often turn to keto and paleo diets, but according to Tulane University study, those weight loss methods score among the lowest on overall nutrition quality and among the highest on carbon emissions. What? Carbon. We suspected the negative climate impacts because they're meat centric. Oh, we should have.
So, well, this is so predictable. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, tomorrow? Nah, not tomorrow. On Sunday, I'm going to take a picture, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go on my steak and egg diet. I'm going to go on it for 1 month, and I'm going to take another picture, and we'll show everybody.
Okay.
I'm here if you need help, Matt.
I'm telling you, it's the steak.
I do. I want to get, like, huge, bro. I want to get, like, really big.
We can do that.
That is the guy to tell you. And he's not gonna tell you to go and buy any.
Dude, I can't do
any
steroids.
substance.
I can't.
I'm trying to find.
Right now, for me, it's steak and duck eggs.
Dude, I'm telling you that I did that diet for fucking like months at a time for 3 years, 4 years.
Oh man, yeah, they're not. I have not seen anything so far. They're just talking about carbon dioxide. They're talking about greenhouse gases. I don't see anything about why it's so unhealthy.
Diets were assigned point value based on the Federal Healthy Eating Index, which we know has Lucky Charms is above steak for the federal.
It's clown world at this point.
My gosh.
Yeah. So those headlines, that's what they always mean. Anytime, because those diets also tend to be really high in natural foods, meat, eggs, fish, dairy, all natural foods, and they're void of processed foods. So the processed food manufacturers don't want you to, consume that. The fake fat makers don't want you to consume that. The refined carbohydrate manufacturers don't want you to consume that. So therefore, it goes down on the list as, lowest quality. I mean, it's just so it's so easy to see the playbook now. This happens every year. I think I think it was Good Housekeeping that used to put out the list of worst and best diets, and paleo, keto are always on the bottom of the list because there's so much fat in those diets.
Yeah, well, speaking of, Lauren and I, we just don't know how to get Aurora to eat things. She's at that point where she's obviously just it's a hope and a prayer every day.
Right.
And but one thing that she has fallen in love with, which I'm so happy, because she hasn't picked up chicken. Every once in a while she'll like gorge on chicken, and then she won't touch it for months. But she loves bacon.
That's great.
She loves bacon.
Yeah.
So that's been very.
Are you getting it from the farm? Have you tried it from there yet?
No, but I'm going to.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
going to. But because that's where I've been getting all the duck eggs lately, and the goat kefir, and the now I'm on with the raw coffee creamer, and
now I can come by for dinner.
Yeah. Well, and I just ordered my first half gallon of the raw chocolate milk that should be showing up on
All right.
Wednesday. So Wednesday I'm going to be picking that up.
That's how you get big, Matt.
Yeah, well, I need to know where to order it from.
I'll give you the link.
Yeah.
Give you the
Raw
link.
milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what Vince Gironda said. Raw milk, eggs, steak. After 1 month, it's like you did steroids.
And beef liver. And the beef liver
I have
capsules.
tablets. I have.
That's why I have his tablets.
1,500 of them.
I order all of it. I should get in touch
Yeah, I
with that
get
SB.
all of the supplements. I like the supplements, bro. I think they're high quality supplements, actually.
Yeah, I love them a lot. Jay signed off on the protein, but when I sent him the protein supplement, I said, this is what I take. Matt suggested it to me. I really love it's the first time I've actually enjoyed drinking a protein shake in a long time, and he said yes to it, so that made it great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always food first, but I use a protein supplement as well, especially, running around doing things and just don't, again, if it's not enough time for that many meals, but I want to hit the protein target, that's no problem, as long as it's clean, and that's...
So do you still get as big drinking protein or like that instead of eating an actual meal?
Yeah, I mean, the protein will work the same in the body. The difference is, satiety will be different. Like you won't be, if you're drinking most of your protein, you're going to be hungry all the time. You know what I mean? Because there's just like the act of actually chewing food and releasing all those satiety hormones from your brain. That's a little bit different when you're just drinking things. You'd notice that if you had a day where you drank 3 protein shakes or had 3 protein meals, but they were the same amount of protein, you'd find a difference.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: for him to want to get big, though, like we're talking.
I get result.
Well, I mean, you get ripped. You get ripped, but as far as I actually think that at this stage in our life, I think ripped and functional, athletic, ripped and functional is better than trying to fucking bulk up, but like to go like real big. Because
not like real big, just bigger than I was. Like, because I think I definitely put some bulk on the last year and a half. I haven't been eating healthy.
How much did you weigh at your most fit? Like 170 something?
No. I think I weighed myself and I would fluctuate from like 181 to like 186.
So in one meal, how does he sit down? If he were to have one meal a day, how does he consume 180 grams of protein in one sitting?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you need to just stabilize the muscle that you have, let alone grow.
It'll definitely be a challenge. I mean, you might not actually be able to do it if you're getting it all from food. But again, if you're trying to grow, what I would say is one meal a day isn't the right choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So feast and famine is my always what I try to go to, right? So the fasting will help you stay lean, but the feasting is what's going to build you up.
Is there an amount that the body can't? What is the amount when you can't process the protein? What grams in an amount of time?
That's a good question. I mean, the thing is, you'll use it all though. It'll go to the amino acid pool. It'll go to a lot of other places. So it's not like you won't be able to use it. So you want to be always over 30. Always over 30, because 30 is the threshold roughly for triggering muscle protein synthesis. So you want to be over 30. But I've seen a lot of papers that say different things in terms of it's not like the more protein you eat, just the more muscle that you'll gain. There is like a max out point. But I think a lot of that also has to do with how hard you've actually worked the muscle, how much damage you've caused. Because that's the whole point of working out is causing those micro tears. So to be training hard and to be eating high protein, that's the recipe for success. And then fasting to be able to stay leaner and healthy. I mean, the metabolic benefits of fasting are really the big. That's why I do it. That's the big benefit you get from fasting.
I'll tell you when I still watch, and I there's a lot of fitness channels that I follow on YouTube. Still, a lot of personalities. I really appreciate their commentary on things, and obviously a lot of them are doing they want to compete. They want to do power lifting. They're all that, and but many just are just into aesthetics, and it is pretty commonly held belief that there is no such thing as being able to cut in bulk at the same time, that you have to do some kind of a dirty bulk and then a cutting cycle, and then it's always just like Crisis in Leviathan where you're bulking up and seeing what's left behind. So you say it is possible to do.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I did, dude. Did you remember, like, I lost all the weight? Like, at one point I just lost, and there was like not a lot of muscle.
Yeah,
dude, I was working out like 2 hours a day, 2.5, sometimes 3 hours a day.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Well, I was doing everything. I was doing different shit for like I did my core every day, like different stuff.
I don't do that much core, only because core, you have everything requires recruiting those muscles. Whether you're doing legs, whether you're doing, I mean, every once in a while you can throw in some extra ab work. But I mean, as far as the whole lumbo-pelvic hip region, core is a large group of muscles. And you need all of that for stabilizing every other compound and even.
Oh yeah, no, I see that. I mean, I still have 2, and like I said, I've been eating like shit for the last almost 2 years now.
So we gotta
and
fix
I still
that.
have two up there.
Gonna fix.
Don't lose those 2.
Well, here, I have something else over here from a mutual friend of ours. That is Ren, Raw Egg Nationalist.
Yeah.
You were on his show not too long ago, right?
No, I haven't done his show.
I thought you guys got together and did a podcast together.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you at least talk with each other? What? Or am I thinking about someone else that you went on their show?
Maybe, because I mean, I heard of him from your show because he's a friend of Norman Laden's.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'd love to hook up with him. I think he's great, but no.
Okay. Well, either way, he just published this short thread over here that I wanted to ask you about, and here it is. He said, yesterday, this is a couple days ago, I wrote about how being fat might shrink your brain. But the question was posed, does being fat actually shrink your brain, or do people with smaller brains become fat? So the real thing is, here's the headline that he had put out there. Obese individuals have reduced gray matter density and functional brain abnormalities, a new study finds. Here's one potential answer from a rat study, which shows that the heavier rats become, the less the heavier rats become, the less blood gets to their brains. It's not hard to see how this stands to reason. As a result, it could be the case that getting fat as a human reduces blood flow to the brain, which causes certain regions to shrink. Some of these regions may be regions such as prefrontal cortex associated with behavioral control. This in turn would reinforce the behavior that caused the obesity in the first place, a vicious circle. It could still be true, though, that people with smaller brain mass are more likely to become fat, and that the effects of fat being simply aggravate the brain shrinkage further. And then he provided the rat study over here. What would anything that you have stored in your own brain, Jay, that may be useful to understanding or answering this question? What came first, the small brain or the obesity?
Well, I like the fact that he's concerned about the arrow of causality, because when you're dealing with associational studies, you cannot prove causation, so you have to look at it from both angles. Is the shrinking brain causing the obesity, or is the obesity causing the shrinking brain? I would say it's the I would say that obesity is the cause of the reduced gray matter. There's actually 2 studies from 2019 and 2020 that both talk about prediabetes and type 2 diabetes having reduced subcortical gray matter. And we know that things like Alzheimer's are being called type 3 diabetes now. So,
Really?
Yeah. So you have basically it's an inability of the brain to properly metabolize glucose. So it's losing the ability to use glucose as a fuel source, and so the brain neurons are literally dying. So this is also why I think we have such a huge problem in this country, because we're not so we're not even looking at prediabetes as a dangerous state. In fact, we just draw this arbitrary line of a fasting glucose. So if you have a fasting glucose of over 125, you're diabetic. But if you're 124, you're pre-diabetic and there's no problem. That's ridiculous. That's virtually the exact same metabolic state. We just draw a line in the sand and say, once you're over it, now we need to give you drugs. So everything that I do and the whole way I was trained was to get people out of the way of that oncoming train, is that prediabetes is incredibly important. And this 2019 paper said that reduced subcortical gray matter volume were found in patients with both type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. So your brain is shrinking for decades due to this high level of blood sugar all the time.
Again, sugar.
I mean, and if you want like a brand new paper right out of, this was published in Europe. I can't even pronounce the name of the journal, but it was just a few months ago, 2022. So this is really cool. It actually goes to what we were just talking about. So they said the major causes of hyperinsulinemia, so that's elevated levels of insulin in the blood, are improper diet and nutrition regimen. So too many frequent meals, excessively high in glycemic foods, too short of a fasting window, along with other factors that are causing hyperactivity of the pancreatic beta cells. Those are the cells that produce insulin. Fructose, systematic inflammation, oxidative stress, low vitamin D, all the things that we talk about all the time. And that hyperinsulinemia affects cellular energy balance, easy for you to say, primarily in the liver, muscle, brain, and adipose tissue. So when your blood sugars are always high, insulin is always being dumped into the bloodstream by the pancreas to get it out of the bloodstream, because glucose is toxic in too high of amounts. So the pancreas disperses insulin, and so insulin stays high because you're always eating. That's why fasting is so important, because it will drop your insulin levels. So it will essentially protect your brain. And that state of that chronic hyperglycemia, that's why they call Alzheimer's and all neurodegenerative diseases type 3 diabetes. It's just, it's something that we understand metabolically. There's a lot of pushback against it because, again, food industry and other industries that are involved in making our food, but the path is pretty clear, and I think he has it right in that. I think it's a poor diet is causing a shrinking brain.
So, and then again, there is that one versus the other of saturated fat and sugar. Mm-hmm. Actually both we were told is, you don't want too much sugar, but of course saturated fat, we're always told, that's going to clog every artery you have. It's just not good. But really, how would saturated fats help somebody to fortify themselves from something like an Alzheimer's then?
Well,
does it make positive impacts on that?
Yeah, I would say it would be one or the other. In other words, if you were to consume saturated fats in the presence of high sugar, that's bad news.
Right.
That's basically a donut.
Yeah. Okay.
So but it's interesting that the history lesson of why we're afraid of saturated fat and cholesterol and all those things, without going too deep into it, which we should someday, because the history of it is like a soap opera. It's kind of amazing, but the guy who's responsible for this and the study that he created, this was all around Dwight D. Eisenhower's heart attack in 1955. He was in office. He was the president in office, had a heart attack, and the whole country freaked out because they were like, oh my God, the president's out of office for like 10 days. He had a heart attack. We need to figure out why. Up until that point, heart disease wasn't on the forefront of Americans' minds. So this one researcher, Ansel Keys, wrote a study, 7-country study is what it's called, and he drew a perfect correlation between saturated fat intake and heart disease in countries, and that was what set the whole world ablaze. And everybody now knows now that saturated fat, clogs your arteries, causes heart disease.
Fat free.
But what is like sort of underreported is that in his own book that was published in 1980, called the 7-Country Studies book, he actually says that saturated fat and sugar are both associated with an increase in heart disease. So he essentially chose one over the other because that was his pet theory, was that it was the fat and not the sugar. Despite the fact that at the time, scientists, even when the dietary guidelines were written, there were scientists saying, hey, this is not, the evidence here is very, very weak. And but it didn't matter because the sort of, what do they say, the horse was out of the barn. And we all now believe that cholesterol and saturated fat are killing us based on essentially one man and his study and this zealous sort of, we just need to get to an answer, and that's what happened. So it's quite an amazing story, but you're much better off with saturated fat. When people say it clogs your arteries, I ask them, okay, explain to me the mechanism, and don't tell me like it's in your drain, like those old commercials that the fat in your,
right,
gets hard in the drain, and that's what it does in the arteries. That's somebody who doesn't understand digestion and human metabolism.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's true. Your stomach acid's supposed to be acidic enough, like if you were to put your finger down there, you would burn it down to the bone before you even touched it.
Absolutely.
That's what it's like.
Yeah,
huh?
Your stomach acid, and then all the enzymes, the enzymes that take apart proteins and carbohydrates and fats in your intestines. I mean, nothing should survive in any appreciable form. In fact, if it does, you start to have metabolic problems. A proper digestion has stomach acid that is like 1.5 on the pH scale, incredibly acidic, lower than sulfuric acid, I believe.
And
how miraculous
supplement to promote that.
And how miraculous again. You just think about us, the construction of a human, the design of a human being. How miraculous that you can have something that acidic that is being housed in an organic sac that is impervious to it.
Yeah, it's protected by it creates its own mucus to be able to protect it for the stomach from eating itself. That's how incredible it is.
Incredible.
That's where mucus comes from.
Well, in the stomach, it's there to protect the stomach because otherwise it literally would eat itself.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And of course, when that mucus is not there, you get your ulcers, which is terrible.
Is that what mushrooms does when you take shrooms? Isn't that what it does? It goes through your stomach lining and it kind of takes that away and it eats at your stomach and you think you're starving or something. Have you ever heard about that?
No, but that's the mechanism by which NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, they block one of the enzymes that helps produce the mucosal layer. So now I'm wondering if that's the case, if mushrooms are also inhibiting that enzyme.
Yeah, it confuses your stomach to think it's starving, and then that's when like the trip starts or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I got something else to look up.
The other thing there too, when you talk about that original theory of it's saturated fat after Dwight Eisenhower's heart attack, it's saturated fat, then it takes years for sugar to be added into the mix. It's too bad they didn't just go another couple of years and saying, well, maybe it was always just sugar, and just say whatever. But then so now it's just it makes sugar. It makes you lose the nuance of what's really going on there when you take the donut and you say, look, this is bad because it's saturated fat and sugar.
Exactly. And let me tell you something. In the research, and this is really where it's important to understand research. You see a headline like that, and if you don't understand, and I don't expect people to understand. I had to go to school for this to understand how to read the research. You'll see a headline that says high-fat diet causes X, Y, or Z, right? So I'll go to the study, and if it's an animal study, which it usually is, I will go to the section where there will usually be an addendum where they'll put like what the diet was. And almost without fail, a high-fat diet is also a high-sugar diet. It is high-fat and high sugar, almost every single time. But they call it high-fat because maybe it's 41% fat and 40% sugar. But that's virtually the same. So again, you feed an animal a donut and you say he got a disease, and then you say high-fat diets cause disease. See, saturated fat sucks. I mean, it's this ridiculous leap in logic, and the researchers know better. But I think sometimes either they're funded by somebody who wants that to be an outcome, or it's a great way to get a snappy headline of your research study if it says high-fat diet causes Alzheimer's or whatever. But the truth is in the nuance. You have to understand what you're looking at.
No doubt. Oh man. Oh, there's so much there. There is, and there's a couple of there's more things that have come in. I have a few things to do with you in the second half. We have some fun. We'll do some Babylon Bee. We'll do some other things. But there is a question that already came in, and this is from Stowstube. Let's see here. Oh, well, no. That's not the one I was looking at. We'll get to you in a second, Stowstube. Jenna from South Carolina. I think she had emailed you before, right? I remember that from the last show.
Yep.
She said, Jay, hi, Frank, hi, Matt, hi, Jay. All this eye candy in one room. Question for you, Jay. Can you talk a little bit about defense chemicals in vegetables and why we should avoid them, please? Love you all. Jay, before you do that, I know that I know it's hard to put this into 8 minutes, but I have seen a lot more people bringing this up. I've seen a lot more podcasts that focus around health and fitness talking about how whenever they're at a buffet or whatever the hell's going on, they are loading up with the eggs, they're loading up with the beef, they're loading up with poultry, whatever the hell, and they are avoiding vegetables at all costs. And now, is there any place... Do you ever have vegetables? Do you ever have a baby spinach salad? Is there any place for this? And how much of it is just people... how much of it is just, I don't know, is it overreaction, or is everything loaded with defense chemicals?
God, this is such a huge topic. So the answer is yes, there are definitely defense chemicals. And if you want, first I'll say, if you want to watch one of the best presentations on this, was at the Ancestral Health Symposium 2014, professor from Texas named George Diggs, D-I-G-G-S, George Diggs. He does an entire presentation on every plant defense chemical imaginable. And it is fascinating. Like, when you think about people say they don't eat meat because it's, a sentient animal. Man, what some of these plants do is incredible. They can call, predators of their predator. They can put out, it's incredible. So to try to encapsulate this, yes, for some people, plant defense chemicals are incredibly dangerous. Many times a carnivore diet can put autoimmune conditions into remission. And I say that because very often it's animals have claws and teeth, but once they're dead, they're dead. So their meat, their dairy, all that, there's nothing left to defend. There's nothing there to defend, but a plant can't move. So it has all kinds of different defense chemicals to keep predators from eating it. It's not designed for us because they're in such minute amounts that we're not going to keel over. I'm not going to fall over dead if I have some spinach.
Right.
They're for smaller, animals or insects. But this is the problem that I feel with plant-based diets. If you're making your diet based on these, then you are consuming 5 pounds of spinach in a spinach smoothie, you're getting a load of oxalates that is out of control.
I had to have sent this to you before. There was one particular a clip of a podcast that was going on. These guys were sitting around talking about this very thing, and another biochemical analysis of things like spinach, broccoli, kale, all this stuff, and they were talking about dozens of known carcinogens per plant. And is it really that serious, or we're talking about cancer causing?
Again, I don't know about that specifically, but I will say that if the dose makes the poison. So there is an argument to be made for eating some of these every once in a while or seasonally because you can get that hormetic effect, like we were talking about with the ice bath, right? So you get exposed to a little bit of this chemical and your body goes, okay, let's make sure we're on guard for this. But, and I know we're going to talk about this a little later, but the overactive immune system is the problem. And so what I see with a lot of people, I was just talking to my friend about putting somebody on a carnivore diet for rheumatoid arthritis because it's an autoimmune condition where the immune system is attacking the joints of the body. So what we want to do is remove everything that could potentially irritate the gut lining, and that would be plant compounds, because they can open. In the gut, you have cells that are supposed to stay closed. They're called tight junctions. They're supposed to stay closed unless they're supposed to be open to allow nutrients in. But what happens sometimes with some of these plant chemicals is they can actually force those tight junctions open, and that creates a situation where things can get into the bloodstream at larger amounts than they should, and the body can mount an immune response to them. And then, through a process called molecular mimicry, the body can mistake this foreign protein or this foreign sugar for a body part. The thyroid often gets implicated in this, and so then the immune system will start attacking the thyroid because it's been trained because some other chemical or some other protein has gotten into the bloodstream.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's the body is amazing, but it's not perfect. So we have to kind of protect it. So to nutshell this, Jenna, sorry, you're gonna have to go back and listen to this again. But to try to nutshell this, I don't think you have to be on a carnivore diet forever. You can. I know people who have been doing it for decades and are perfectly fine and healthy. But I think some level of hormetic stress from plants could be beneficial. But if you have sensitivities and you're struggling in that area, remove those plants. They will not be a problem if you go 30, 60 days just eating a purely animal-based diet and see if you can put some of your symptoms into remission. Because it's amazing how much I've seen this, and there are plenty of MDs that use this. It is the ultimate elimination diet because you're eliminating everything that could potentially irritate the immune system and the gut, and things like meat, they just don't do that.
I can't wait until you come back and we do the whole thread on, because what this all comes down to again. But animal pain. I heard that that's bad for the environment. I cannot wait until we talk about the certain types of food cultivation and what it really means as far as geologically and everything else. I have that whole thread ready to go, and that'll be a good day. Matt, you learning something so far?
Yeah.
I always learn when he's here.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break.
This guy's good.
Oh, he's good.
Thanks, Matt.
When we come back, we're going to go through your super chats, and we have other things, including a follow-up on something that popped up on last night's show. That is the tick-borne illnesses and a few other things. And then some fun to be done as well. It is a Friday after all. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out. Press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to intermission.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, intermission. Yeah, intermission.
Now entering, quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
We all support quite frankly.
Not quite.
Let's go, Brandon.
Quite frankly, in Roma, Italia.
Quite frankly, you going on Frank's show tonight?
I really like you. You're very smart.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly, with Frank.
Quite frankly.
How dare you?
Oh man, well, the weeks just fly by, and these shows just make it so fun. They really do. They make it fun. I wish that it would all just slow down a little bit more, though. I had a couple of things here. First one up. Listen to this, Jay. Another question that came in. I forgot who this is from. Damn it. Frank, could you ask Jay what supplements or strategies for supporting mitochondria? I think this was from Matt. Could you ask, not this Matt, ask Jay what supplements or strategies for supporting mitochondria health? I know this is your wheelhouse.
Ooh. It's the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes, it is, Matt.
that he would recommend if there are any tests and if there are any tests to check mitochondria function. So best support or strategies and good tests to see.
So I'm waiting for there to be better testing. So let's start with that one. So there are some proxies you can use. CoQ10 is it's in the mitochondria in the electron transport chain, and it helps produce energy. So you can actually test for blood levels of CoQ10. It's not a normal test; it's a functional medicine test, but that can give you a proxy. And then I think citrate synthase is an enzyme that is also in the mitochondria that is also used in research as a proxy for mitochondrial health. These are not tests that you're going to go to your doctor and say, can you run these? But they do run them in labs. And the CoQ10 might be a lot easier to get. So that's one that you could certainly check. You can also sort of tell the mitochondria, again, since it's the powerhouse of the cell, you can also judge by the way you feel. Generally speaking, people who are run down, people who are having, muscle aches and pains, those tend to be people that have mitochondrial dysfunction, generally speaking. It's not always the case, but it's part of how I look for things with people.
Can it be low testosterone for males?
So what's interesting about testosterone is
we
that...
did a whole show about that recently.
And the mitochondria is one of the first places where cholesterol is transformed into testosterone. So yeah, there's definitely a correlation there too. So... And then it's funny, mitochondrial support nutrients, I would say CoQ10 is one of the big ones, and you can get that over the counter. It's really easy because that helps support energy production in the cell. And then, I want to say this, because it's true, and this is part of so I'm speaking at KetoCon in Texas in April, and my whole lecture is on the mitochondria. And at the end, I tie in all of the nutrients because people always ask, well, what kind of supplement should I take? And I say CoQ10 is a good one. Carnitine is another good one because that actually helps shuttle fat into the mitochondria to be used as energy. B2, riboflavin, which helps actually build part of the electron transport chain to help produce the energy. And creatine, which helps provide energy as well. So all those things are found in red meat. So red meat is like a multivitamin for the mitochondria. But if I was to pick a nutrient or two, I would say CoQ10 and carnitine together. Carnitine.
L-carnitine?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they work really well, helping you metabolize fat, and then the CoQ10 works to help all of those carbon units that are being pulled off of the fats to be able to turn into electrons, shuttle down the electron transport chain, and turn into energy.
Yeah, L-carnitine is in a lot of pre-workout stuff.
Yeah, it helps with beta oxidation, which is fat metabolism.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. As Matt, a little bit of a crash course for something that he could Jay can talk about for obviously.
I love when people
have all
ask.
these supplements, and all it says is it's take 1 hour before meal with a glass of water. I'm like, well, when's the most optimal time to take it? Because I know it's not always that.
Right. Yeah, they're all a little bit different, but I love any mitochondrial questions are always really fun for me because yeah.
Good morning, Frank. Oh, I think you're gonna like this one. Good morning, Frank. This is from Trish. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you, your show, and guests. Looking forward to tomorrow night, got this yesterday, with Jay, and wanted to tell you my journey so far. I'm a home care PT assistant. I drive nearly 500 miles a week for the last 9 years. I got in the habit of snacking and eating while driving, and slowly the pounds just pile on due to not moving as much as I need to. My birthday was on January 5th. I turned 41, and I clocked in at 231 pounds. Never been this heavy except when I was pregnant. I've always been a thick girl, but good golly, this is ridiculous. After hearing your shows with Jay, I knew I had to do something. January 16th, I started a 20 hours 20V4 intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So 20 off, 4 on. Joined with a local cardio drumming and HIIT class, HIIT class. Yeah. 4 times a week, and started getting up early before 4:30 a.m. to do 30 to 45 minutes on the elliptical every morning. It was hard the first week, but holy moly, I feel so much better now. I'm down 24 pounds. My knees, hips, and back don't hurt anymore. I have so much more energy. I feel great. Nice to practice what I preach and to do what I preach to my patients as well. Just wanted to thank you for your show and the inspiration and confidence that I can do it. Also, my kids see me and they've been more active in eating healthier too. So thank you, Frank, for your shows make a difference. Trish, I wanted to bring that up because, I mean, Jay, this is why I love bringing you back. We have a great time and it helps people. I get messages, I got one recently, which, sometimes it's just shocking because I don't even know these people and I've never worked with them. It's osmosis, right? It's like it's purely passive information that they've just grabbed hold of and made changes. And then the last part of that is that then you start to see the kids get involved in doing things, right? And my whole thing is education. That's everything. I've steered away from working one-on-one with people because I want to educate people, because I want to be able to create more change. And so to hear kids starting to, parents are their role models, to be able to see kids paying attention to that and then perhaps developing better habits and avoiding the pitfalls that we probably all ran into. That's awesome. So congratulations on the 24 pounds that you lost, and keep up the good work. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I love getting stuff like that. Yeah. Michelle on Wheels says, questions. The idea that meat diet clogs the colon. Well, we were talking about clogs the arteries. I have to imagine this would just be the same thing. Yeah. Vegetable fiber, or that vegetable fiber is necessary to heal the gut. We've talked about fiber in the past too. Yeah, and right after I did that show, a great study came out about fermented foods versus fiber, and fermented foods came out on top. In terms of the immune system, in terms of the microbiome diversity. It was actually an incredible study that came out right after somebody super chatted that question about fiber, and I said, no, fermented foods are actually better for the gut. And this fantastic study came out of Stanford, and it's funny because the researcher is a vegetarian, and he said the results were surprising. I said, well. So you're saying instead of a Metamucil, yes, what I do every day because of you, with the 2 ounces of goat kefir in my protein shake, that works to the very same end and better than what they market Metamucil for doing with fiber. Even better. I happen to have it up right here. It was published in, no, that was a different one. This is, Stanford. So eating foods like yogurt, kefir, fermented foods, kimchi, other fermented vegetables, fermented brine drinks, kombucha, all led to overall microbial diversity and stronger effects for larger servings. In addition, 4 types of immune cells showed less activation in fermented foods. The levels of 19 inflammatory proteins measured in blood samples also decreased. Of these proteins, they went through a couple of different ones. And the data suggests that increased fiber intake alone over a short period of time is insufficient to increase microbial diversity, unlike the fermented foods. So fermented foods won in this battle, which I just think is kind of amazing, because we're told we need fiber for a healthy gut, but actually the fermented foods, and I've experienced this firsthand, and everybody that I know that I've put on fermented foods versus fiber feel a hell of a lot better. So again, instead of going and throwing down some Fiber One every day, right, go and contact your local farmer, your local dairy farmer. Either get some, maybe some kefir or whatever, or some sauerkraut. Yes. Some beet kvass or something like that. Sure. And anything that's fermented. Yep. I eat sauerkraut. That's probably the most vegetable I eat, I would say. I have sauerkraut, a little bit of it with every meal. Wow. And I have kefir every day too. But see, I have a little bit of tomato salad every day, but that's not the same thing. No. But that's my sauerkraut. That's okay. Though it has none of the same function. You could mix both though. A tomato salad with a little bit of sauerkraut. I've done that before. Really? Like, is it a tomato salad with feta and? No. Okay. But that sounds great. I should throw some of that in. That's what I was thinking. Oh, jeez, that's one thing that's missing. Now that you've said it, that's the one thing it's missing. I need some feta. Damn it. Shit. Matt, you getting all this? I am. Okay. You getting hungry? Just go home and get some. I am, actually. I didn't eat all day, actually. Listen, hey, but when he says sauerkraut, now when you say sauerkraut, if you're in a pinch, can you go to the AMP and get some jarred sauerkraut? Sure. And that would be just as well? Sure. I actually just stopped at the that market on the way, because it's 25 miles from my apartment, so the Green Organic Market has, so Wild Brine is a brand. I have no affiliation, but just a brand I like. Cleveland Kraut. They're all like these raw sauerkrauts, and they come in different flavors. And the one I picked up today was whiskey dill. I used to love putting sauerkraut on my hot dogs. My grandfather would make it. It'd be the only time I'd ever have it. He would make sauerkraut, and I'd put it on my hot dogs with a little bit of mustard. and
Good stuff.
I haven't had it in years. I
Have
got to
it.
start doing this year, this summer.
You can get it from you can get it from the farm that you order from. That's where I get a lot. That's where I get mine from usually, and you can make it too. But the farm is really easy. Oh, it's so good.
I'll give you the link for that.
I've never tried it.
They're Amish. They deliver from Pennsylvania.
I'm talking about sauerkraut. I've never tried sauerkraut.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm saying, again, that place that you wanted to look into.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ben Allen Herferberger says, so glad to see Matt is back in the studio. I think him and I have a mutual acquaintance. Will you please ask him, do you know Irma Gay?
It's a good setup.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I've been out. I've been recovering from my botched surgery.
What were you getting surgery for?
I was getting my penis enlarged, and they botched it. So yeah, next Tuesday, my name will be Matilda.
6 inches forward and 5 inches back. I got an angry inch. Oh, I love that. When whatchamacallit, typo negative covered Angry Inch. Oh, that's an amazing song. My sex change operation got botched. My guardian angel fell asleep on the watch. Oh my God, it's a barb in the crotch. I got an angry inch.
Great record.
Great record. Where is it? Where the hell is it? I should have this up over here.
Great record.
That's it. Great record. Great record. I should have it right here by my thumb at all times.
Great record.
Excellent album.
Excellent album.
Hard Day's Night without. Oh wait.
You are the quiet one, so won't you shut the fuck up?
Hard Day's Night without guilty as charged. All right, Stove says, to the Quite Frankly world. The Quite Frankly world has aligned on this fine Friday. Not only is Matt back on tonight, but the one and only Jay Gulinello is back in studio. Great Friday show to kick off the weekend. Thank you, gents. Beyond great independent media as always. Thank you, Stove. I would also like to, also mention something about Quite Frankly world, but today is Rob's birthday. Rob's birthday.
Rob.
Happy birthday. So if you want to give him a nice little birthday present, go to kungfuchannel.com and sign up for the Saturday morning class he's going to do tomorrow. So there you go, kungfuchannel.com. That's on the affiliates too. It's Rob's birthday. Go say hello. Let's see. Stew, we did that. Jenna, we did that. Gino says, just caught up on last night. Jay Dyer is a great guy to discuss the Banson debate, presuppositions and transcendental arguments for God. He's done numerous talks on them. Would love to hear you two discuss. Love to Matt, Jay, and the family, Francis. Thank you, Gino. Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Jay about that. Although he's going to be doing book club with me starting on Monday. So let's see. American Girl 3 says, hi, everyone. My sister-in-law is subclinical hyperthyroid. TSH goes as low as 0.05, then quickly rebounds, but T3 and T4 are fine. Big weight fluctuations, though. She works out, eats well. She's sick enough to get heart palpitations, but not enough for meds or surgery. Do you have anything that you can help with?
I mean, anytime it's thyroid, I have to start with the gut. Was there anything in there mentioned of TPO antibodies?
No.
Just TSH, T4, and T3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said hypo, correct? Hypothyroid?
She says, where the hell is it? Subclinical hyperthyroid.
Hyperthyroid, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's...
But 0.05, if it's low, that would be hypo? Maybe they're getting...
I'd have to take a look at the labs. I mean,
Okay.
but always start with the gut first, because and also what I would say as a recommendation is see if you can get TPO antibody tests too, to see. It's so funny because we were just talking about this. What I say that the thyroid tends to be one of the first targets of the immune system because the tissue just happens to look similar to certain proteins. So the TPO antibody test will tell you if the immune system is attacking the thyroid. So you want to see where this is coming from. But if T4 and T3 are normal, that tells me that it could be something in the hypothalamus or the pituitary that's going wrong. So it may not be primary hypothyroid. So I can look into it more, but see if you can get a TPO antibody test.
Email the show, quite frankly, podcast@gmail.com, and I can always forward along to Jay, if there's more details on that.
There's so much to the thyroid. There are so many different tests that you really need to be able to put it in context.
Here's one from Bad Andy on Rockfin. Says, can you ask Jay what kind of salt he would recommend? I saw a post about a study out of Australia that showed that high levels of lead are in most Himalayan sea salts.
I've definitely seen that. I use Redmond real salt the most because it actually comes from a underground lake in Utah, or it's not a lake anymore. It's where a lake used to be, an ancient lake, and it's underground, so doesn't get polluted with microplastics from the sea, and so I use Redmond real salt. That's my go-to.
Redmond real salt, okay. Thank you, Todd Fife, for a very generous tip over there on Rockfin as well. Love our Rockfin crowd. They're small, cozy, and lively. Just to make sure, I have a couple over here on Rumble. First one is from Linda Love. Says, hi, guys. Great show. I wanted to tell Jay I quit cigarettes a month ago.
Was she listening in to our conversation
prior to the show starting? Because Jay had brought Linda up because she showed up to his first annual retreat, and he mentioned that she said, I want to kick these damn things.
That's awesome.
So that's a month ago. I quit a month ago. His retreat last year inspired me. Thanks.
Oh, Linda, how funny is that? We were just talking about it off air. So good for you. Keep it up. Hopefully, if I see you in September, you'll be, that'll be 9 months or so. That's great.
Here's a wonderful Rumble rant from Hugh Jadick. Says, happy Friday, Jay, Matt, and Frank. Thank you. Happy Friday to you all as well. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Hugh. Yes. Okay. There's a lot coming in. And I want to do two more over here. Then we'll get to. I mean, I guess it's just what the rest of the night will be. Who cares? Larkstar says, Dear Frank, thank you for providing such meaningful viewing pleasure nightly, bringing us together with the like-minded individuals for some quality time with you. Well, it's quality time, no doubt about it. I never feel anything but fulfilled, at least by the audience. Sometimes I let myself down. I feel whenever I walk out of here unfulfilled, it's because I feel like I could have done better. But it's always great to know that the audience is out there, and it's just nice to have that camaraderie. So thank you, Lark, as always. Albert Frederick says, Jay, are those same things found in red meat also found in eggs and chicken? I have been pounding about 3 dozen eggs a week, full spread of tissue salts, fulvic acid, and a ton of beef, but thinking about adding in some chicken, also organic vinegar.
Yeah, I mean, chicken's mostly protein. I tend to make chicken my least consumed meat. Just less nutrient value in general. You're not going to get anything in chicken that you're not getting in beef, that's for sure. I'd have to check on the CoQ10 thing. Actually, heart is one of the highest concentrations of CoQ10, so that's why.
I eat chicken hearts.
Yeah. So heart. If you're going to do that, yeah, you get some good CoQ10 there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then
that sounds like a pretty good diet you got going on there.
Well, the 3 dozen eggs a week. That's nice. That's
a lot of multivitamins.
No doubt.
It's funny that he said he's pounding. He's pounding it.
I know. I've been pounding the chicken, but it's just relentless. It's just a relentless pounding over there.
I just pictured him pounding the eggs, like to mix it, to scramble it.
Like George Washington would?
Yeah, he probably did.
Let's see here. San Francisco Green Eyes says, did eggs and cheese was doing well, then got kidney stones. Thoughts? I did eggs and cheese, was doing well, but then I got kidney stones.
I mean, kidney stones, they develop over a very long period of time. So that, I don't know how long you were doing.
I don't have any.
The eggs and cheese. I've actually had them. So I don't know, and they're horrible.
Yeah, I don't want to, because my cousin had it, and they had to put a string up his
pee. His pee-pee.
And then he had a tug on it.
Yeah, hopefully
came out of his pee-pee.
There are some things you can do to. It's okay, guys. I got you. But they develop over a long period of time. So it would depend on how long you were having the eggs and cheese. But if they're calcium oxalate stones, the oxalates come from plants. So I would be curious on how long you're eating. In other words, what I'm saying is I don't think it came from the cheese and the eggs.
Gotcha. So eggs don't cause that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
my nuts hurt.
I know, and it doesn't even come from your nuts either.
Yeah, I know. But
It's
my
just,
sides and my nuts.
It was
hurt
one of the
now.
most painful experiences I've ever gone through.
now, did you have to pee into a strainer?
No, I didn't. So it just spontaneously, I don't know what happened. It just one day I shifted positions and it stopped hurting and then it never came back. But it was a good 2 weeks of excruciating. I mean, I could barely walk. I couldn't even really lie down.
That's what I hear.
It was awful.
I just hope that I just pray that I'm just one of the lucky ones who never has anything.
Well, if it
happen.
happens, let me know. There are things you can do.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can.
Some supplements you can take.
Please don't touch. Please.
Hey, let me also say, because these super chats have inspired me to look up certain things, and anytime I say I don't know something and I say I'll check out later on, if you go to my Substack tomorrow, Sunday, somebody asked about nitrates, in meat. I remember, I think it was the last time I was here, and I said I have an evolving theory on this. So I finished the theory, and I wrote a really long article on it, and it's going to come out on Sunday.
You
So-
mean like salami?
Yeah. So, cured meats and things like that. So if you are the person who asked about nitrates, or even if you're not, go check out the Substack. It's coming out on Sunday. You can do it for free. It's perpetualhealth.substack.com.
Real quick, is it bad or no?
No, it's fine.
Gabagool.
Hey, gabagool.
Right here.
There's the Reader's Digest version. Is it bad? No. Yes.
So if I have a salami and provolone sandwich, it's
Totally
good.
fine.
But it's the bread that's the problem.
Yeah, it's always the bread.
Use a whole wheat.
Well, so if I have a salami and provolone roller coaster that I just roll them up and I just have.
That's my favorite way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something.
Vince Gironda recommended that roast beef in a cheese. You can roll it up and eat it throughout the day with some soft boiled eggs.
Yeah, but just think
beef
about
liver tablets. I gotta do that.
Like, you remember when we got together on New Year's Eve? Whenever whenever I get together, whenever I host New Year's Eve, I told you it was cold cuts it's a big part of our family tradition. But there's nothing like slapping that cold cuts between a really fresh, gooey roll.
Well, of course. Yeah, I mean.
Jay, if it was your last day on Earth.
Oh, God, here we go. This happens every time I'm here.
I try to throw.
Last time it was ice cream.
Yeah. If this was your last day, we just knew this is our last meal. And you have done a wonderful. Your life's work has been just pure, and you have had utmost integrity. But we are all just like we're staring this gigantic calamity. There's an asteroid. It's going to take us out. And it was okay. What are you having for your last meal? Where are you going for your last meal?
My Italian grandmother's lasagna.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I make a version of it without the noodles, and it's still pretty awesome. It's high protein, but I would probably have her original recipe, 1940s.
Would you? Okay, so then you would have grandma's lasagna. After lasagna, would you have a Haagen-Dazs or a Good Humor ice cream bar?
What did I pick last? Rum raisin, I think was one of the.
Raisin?
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, of course you pick one with fruit in it.
Yeah. What about this? Did you out of all of the Good Humor bars, what did you like the most? The chocolate center, the toasted almond, or the strawberry shortcake?
Oh.
Strawberry shortcake was mine, but I like the almond too.
Yeah, I like almonds. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
What, the toasted almond?
What if your last day on Earth?
Oh, what would I would say, maybe my mom's meatballs, or my nanny's, one of just her pasta dishes.
And what about as a dessert? If you're gonna have anything to just enjoy,
probably Carvel milk.
Carvel.
You get Fudgy the Whale?
Yeah. During the summertime, if we're all hanging out in the backyard in the summertime, we've been barbecuing or whatever. Now it's just like nighttime, and the tiki torches are on, and we're just hanging out. It inevitably at some point, Matt will go, "Did somebody just say Carvel?"
Do milkshakes make you fat?
I guess it depends on how much sugar is in them. But not the milkshake itself. I mean, you can make those with protein powder and eggs and raw milk. Oh, you can definitely make a milkshake like food. Yeah.
By the way, everybody in the chat room, they are just flooding the chat rooms with all of the things that they would eat. I'm gonna make a show about that. Maybe a following next Friday or something. We'll do a call-in show. Or on a night that we just need to relax, we'll do a call-in show, and at least one of the topics will be It's your last meal on Earth. What's it going to be?
Death row meal.
Yeah, death row meals.
You know they don't have that anymore.
What?
They got rid of that because it was just getting so ridiculous. I'm serious. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if maybe just a few prisons, but I'm pretty sure that there's no more of that because it was some high profile.
Well, now I'm definitely
just
not going on death
asked
row.
for such ridiculous shit. They're like, yeah, enough of this.
They probably asked for a caramel cake.
Yeah, what do they need to be full for? They're gonna be dead.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I don't. Well, let's see. If that in reality, if you said, okay, it's your last meal because you're going to be killed soon, I wouldn't be able to fucking eat.
I know.
I wouldn't be. Like, that's the reality of the thing. And if I were able to eat, it would be something like, can I have a Snickers ice cream bar? something that's just I don't know, a soup. A French onion soup? I don't know. I can't go to take dead man walking with a belly full of chicken. I can't do that. But we'll get to that some other night.
French onion soup's on the menu too. Remember, you can do it with bone broth and some raw cheese melted on the top. French onion soup is a go.
I love
even
French
if it's not your death row meal.
So does Lauren. Lauren loves French onion soup.
Yeah.
Here we go. Mitochondria Matt says, thanks, Frank. A small tip for the best indie media in the game. Thanks to Jay for the knowledge and Matt for repping the name well. Mattarchy for life. And then you say, Larkstar says, the Franklies want to hear a belly laugh from Matt. Please, Matt. You just, you can't just tell somebody to laugh.
A belly laugh.
We'll get
yeah, see, I need to go on that diet now.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's see here. One more American girl, then we'll get back to this later. Hi again. I was asked to clarify, and yes, she is subclinical hyperthyroid.
Okay.
Her TPO is less than 3.0. If it is too involved, please let me know where to send you the info. Just email the show.
Yeah.
American girl.
Yeah, I would love to dig into that a little bit more.
If for nothing else, Jay just likes to research things.
It's really, I would be doing that on a Friday night anyways, though.
Yeah.
Might as well do it here.
All right. Let's see. 8:29. I want to. Oh my God. Okay. There's so much. Here's a question that I think is a good one. Where is it? Jenna from South Carolina again says, "Hey Jay, I know you love nutrition info, but when are we going to hear your music?" Well, Jay, I am really surprised that somebody. Thankfully, somebody asked about it because we found your music.
Oh dear. What did you find?
I found a YouTube account for Band of Heroes.
That's them.
And here is the Wanton song by Led Zeppelin. You mind if I play a little bit of this?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, this is Jay. Where did you film this first of all?
This was in Brooklyn. This was an outdoor festival.
I was going to say, it looks like the Bronx or Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, listen to this.
No.
Yeah. Look, there's Jay right there.
What? Would you? That you singing?
Yeah.
You the singer?
Yeah.
See? It's great. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Holy shit.
Thank you.
So do you still get together with everybody and play from time to time?
Yeah, we haven't in a bit because I was in grad school, but yeah.
So there's Jay,
dude.
I know.
I thought it was going to be Under Pressure. That was the one that sort of, when we released it a few years ago, had a little viral moment. Not on YouTube, it was on Facebook. It had like 75,000 views, and then YouTube pulled it because of copyright, I guess.
Well, this has 10,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's nice. A Band of Heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
We're actually an original band. This was just happened to be a cover that people asked us to do, and we're like, okay.
I'm a Led Zeppelin fan. I'll tell you, that's probably one of the best covers I ever heard.
Thanks,
that's
man.
fucking tight.
I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
That was my undergrad. Before nutrition, it was music. I went to Berkeley and.
Well, I know that we found your acting profiles too, like your headshots for acting.
Yeah. That's why I moved to New York. That's why I'm here.
Well, listen, that's why we vibe so well together.
Yeah,
We obviously we all have we all grew up in the same way, and we all are involved in the same type of stuff.
Yep, that's right.
That's it. You know, I know it's nutrition, but it's also performance at the same time. You have to sell. You know, this is when you find something you're passionate about. We only know how to perform.
Well, you know, when I go do these conferences, I feel right at home on stage. I feel like my presentations are more interesting than some of the other presenters who are even smarter than me, but they don't have the ability to work a crowd or understand if your presentation is falling flat, you got to do something, you got to change it up. So I feel like I'm combining both worlds, you know. So,
yeah, indeed.
Or try.
No doubt. I love it. Let's see here. Okay, so this is something from last night. And I don't want to start this too late or else we're going to run out of time because we're already running out of time and we have a half hour left. I had a super chat that came in last night, and at first I didn't know what I was being asked. Somebody was talking about how they have alpha gal, and it was from a Lone Star tick. Yeah. And when I heard alpha gal, Lone Star tick, I thought that it was like somebody was being cute about, you know, like an alpha gal, like an alpha male or something like that. And then I said, wait, a Lone Star tick. Is this something? And then I realized that this is another tick-borne illness, and it's pretty serious. That it causes really severe allergic reaction to mammalian foods. So I mean, not just beef, but I've seen over here poultry, and the one audience member sent in a little bit more of a background of how it's affected her, and it's what she describes is heartbreaking. How severe this is. I told you a little bit to give you a little bit of a heads up on this. What do you know, and what kind of experience you've had with tick-borne illnesses like Lyme, or especially this?
So very little to none. In fact, I've never had any clinical experience with it at all. So I think I told you I had your show on in the background last night, and I thought the same thing when the question came in, because I was doing other work, and then I heard you say it, and so I started digging into a few papers, and I actually found a very recent paper, like a few months ago, that came out. So there is no established protocol to treat this. Essentially, they just say, good luck, just avoid all, red meat and, mammalian products. So I had to dig a little bit deeper to figure out if there was any treatment, or really what I first started to do is figure out what is the mechanism of action, so what's happening in the body, and then to figure out if there's a way to circumvent that, or if there's a supplement or some kind of a lifestyle change we can do. So what's really weird about this is that this is an allergic reaction. This is an overactive immune system to the saliva of this tick. The saliva, so the reason it's called alpha-gal, let me back up. The reason it's called alpha-gal is because it's an allergic reaction to a specific sugar. Now, most allergic reactions are to proteins. So this is unusual in the fact that it's to a sugar, and it's to an oligosaccharide called galactose alpha-1,3 galactose. That's why they call it alpha-gal. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Now, it's an IgE triggered reaction. So IgE is usually like anaphylaxis. That's really dangerous. That's the kind of stuff that people usually have to have EpiPens for. They usually have to go to the ER if it's that serious. Causes what's known as basal cell activation. So that's what creates this potentially dangerous situation. It could be something as simple as hives, a rash, but it can actually cause death as well. So you kind of have to know. And the other weird thing is that most of the time when this happens, when you have an allergic reaction, IgE specifically, it's almost instantaneous. But what's weird about this alpha-gal is that it's actually it's like 2 or 3 or 4 hours after ingestion. So presumably that means the body has to break down the meat or whatever this sugar is contained in. So the sugar is not normally in the human body, but it is in animals. So that's why, and it's in this tick, and it's in the saliva of the tick, and so it penetrates the skin and it gets into the bloodstream, and that's when the immune system recognizes it as an invader. So it mounts this response. The immune system is now on high alert. So now what happens is every time you eat an animal product and it goes through the digestive process, once that sugar's into the bloodstream, it immediately recognizes it as that same invader. And so it starts attacking. So that's what's causing these symptoms. So there is no established protocol to treat it. They have nothing. But this paper was really interesting. It's something that I was going to say. Whoever this person was that texted you or that emailed the show, have them reach out to me. Because I was actually up late last night with a colleague of mine, and her and I were going over this because I had never seen it before clinically. She, I don't think, has ever seen it before, but we just kind of broke it down and said, okay, what could we do? So this paper recommends a few things. One, very interestingly, it does respond to certain biological drugs that help reduce activity of IgE. So I won't go through the names because it doesn't really matter, but there are some drugs that work for it. But they also recommended things like antihistamines and mast cell stabilizers. Mast cells are what in the body they release histamine, so they cause this allergic response. So something that we were thinking about using was quercetin, which is a mast cell stabilizer. The other thing I would do is say, well, let me go through the other thing. So acupuncture was something else that seemed to be effective, although they don't know the mechanism why, but it seems to be helpful. And then what was really interesting is oroimmunotherapy using mammalian meat or dairy products. So what that is, and this is what I would do, this is a full removal for X amount of time. So you're taking 30, 60, 90 days, complete removal of any offending product. And most likely the person knows. Some people can't even do fish or pork or dairy. Some people can. So you got to figure out whatever is causing the reaction. Then you need to remove that completely for we'll prescribe a period of time. Then what they were doing in this study, they were actually reintroducing it in microdoses in order to train, and then I'm thinking alongside therapies that are going to stabilize those mast cells. So you're sort of like putting a leash on the immune system while you reintroduce the antigen that the body is being triggered by. And hopefully, in these case studies, they were able to move people from like 0.000005 milligrams of meat all the way up to 100 grams. So they were actually able to reintroduce this into people. That's what oral immunotherapy is. So what I would say to this person and to anybody with this, again, this is all theoretical because I've never actually treated it in a clinic. So I would say find the most nutrient-dense food you can, because removing all those animal products is going to be bad. You're losing a lot of your nutrients, and I wouldn't want to lean on the plant products, as we just talked about the fact that now you're adding a whole bunch of chemicals. So if you can eat eggs and you can eat fish or chicken or something, find something you can eat like that and lean on it heavily. Then I would put them on an elimination diet of not just that, but anything else that could help heal up the gut. I'd probably provide a few things, a few supplements that would help heal and seal the gut to make sure the gut barrier is nice and solid. And then after a certain period of time, I would do a little bit of research on what the best amount of, the optimal amount of time would be. And then I would start reintroduction of just little bits of this sugar, and hope that the antihistamines and the mast cell stabilizers all kept the immune system in check. And if not, then I would remove, and I would sort of play this sort of like back and forth game until I was able to steadily increase the dose. And again, that's theoretical, because some people it spontaneously reverses and some people it never reverses.
Wow.
So it's really serious, and you'd want to have certain things on hand just in case, especially if the reaction is bad. You would want to have things like Benadryl on hand, or but I think there is, in this study, there even things like hard cheese and dairy were associated with spontaneous resolution. So it's a real unknown. But after talking it through last night for a good hour, I feel like there's potential to be able to deal with it. And it seems to be something that's ever increasing in the U.S. right now. Especially, I looked at a map east of the Mississippi. So I don't know, Matt, you might have some, information on that.
I mean,
you must be called in to spray for ticks all the time.
No, but I think this summer we're going to start doing it. But I mean, I was doing a job a couple months ago for coyotes in the woods, and I came out, there was 3 ticks on my pants.
Yeah.
On your pants.
Yeah.
You ever? I told Jay before, I removed one from under my arm maybe about 8 years ago. The head got under, but I grabbed it real ginger around the shoulders, and I did not rip too hard because I didn't want to decapitate it.
Yeah.
And it came out and everything was fine. No ring, no nothing. My uncle got bit by a tick, I think 2 2 or 3 summers ago, and when he found it, he took it out, and he already had a big red circle around it. But I mean, he doesn't have Lyme. He went to the doctor. They treated it. I thought that the red bullseye meant that.
Nah, not all the time.
Right.
Not all the time.
Thankfully.
But I had a tick once, it going in me, like you did. But I had it someplace way worse than that.
The
bro.
ball sack?
No, right? Because I was in the woods. I took a piss. Was walking on a trail, and it was like right under the tip. You know, where the tip meets the shaft.
Get out of here.
Well, yeah, let's go pee again. I'm like, the hell is that? And it was sticking out, and I pulled it out. It's like this fucking thing.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Man.
Well, you know, I just wanted to say real quick, you know, some of the risk factors for this I thought were just interesting. Males tend to be more at risk for developing this. So again, because not everybody that gets bit develops alpha-gal. So there seemed to be some
or Lyme.
There seemed to be a predisposition. So hypersensitivity to medications. If you're on a cancer drug, let's see, A and O blood types. Any kind of a heart valve transplant, a history of anaphylaxis. So there are several things, and obviously if you're working in a forest worker, you know, your environment. But so there seem to be some predisposing factors, and I would also add in there if the immune system is already on alert for other things, right? There's like a certain point where the bucket overflows with stressors. So I would say if you've got a leaky gut, if you've got some of those other things going on, you may be more disposed, because again, not everybody that gets bit has the issue. But again, I think there might be a way around this. It would be very experimental because there's no protocol yet. But after thinking it through, I mean, there's hope, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is it you know?
Well, we'll see if we can get you in touch with her as well, and maybe you can, because if it's one of those things where if everybody has thrown their hands up and raised the white flag, then why not try anything? Especially if it's just all nutritional tweaks.
Nutrition is the real medicine.
Yeah,
that's what what's his name said, the father of modern medicine.
Hippocrates.
What's his name? Yeah, that's. I invented medicine. Said that.
I have a question here. This one came from King. This one came from King.
I've been waiting for a King question. I've been on the show how many times and I've not gotten a King question?
Well,
Are you sure?
Here it is.
No.
Here it is. If this was a 3-hour show, maybe what we do next time you come in. See, there's a few big topics I want to do with you, Jay. And if we do a big deep dive, then it has to be one of those things between the super chats will tie you down for at least an hour. And then if we take calls, then I mean we would need to do like a 3-hour show. So maybe one night we just do a call-in show.
Yeah.
Because the specialty topics they make it a real big balancing act as far as managing the clock. Here's a question from King. He says, Frank, I have a weight loss question for your boy. He said, my brajol is... There's your belly laugh, by the way. He said, Frank, my brajol is overweight. It's fat like a Pepsi can. I want to slim it down just a little bit so the broads have a little easier time with it. What can I do?
So he's got a girth issue.
Yes, he's and the broads can't handle it anymore.
King, you can't spot reduce. Actually, you know, it was funny. I remember, I think maybe it was the second time I was on, or the first time, King called in and he mentioned having like a bunch of eggs for breakfast, or that's what he used to have for breakfast.
Yeah.
He was right on track.
Yeah.
His nutrition is right on track.
So
just keep it up, King.
So should he have less eggs?
No.
Will that shrink your dick?
No, more eggs.
More eggs will shrink.
Yeah. Well, no, what it'll do is it'll build the rest of you in proportion to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll create an optical illusion that your dick is getting smaller.
Yes. We're David Copperfielding this.
All right. So
it'd be funny. He does that, and then he gets too big, then his dick is too small.
Yeah. So that's it, King. You have to make the rest of yourself bigger so that looks smaller. It's all optical illusion.
Right.
All right. All right. Let's see here.
I appreciate a King message. I feel now like I'm actually part of the family.
Oh yeah. This is what I'm saying. If we're gonna have to do just a call-in night, because then we can get this and I think that would be really interesting. But there's so many topics, it's hard to balance it all out. And can you imagine if we were doing this on terrestrial radio and we had to take a break every 15 minutes for 5 minutes worth of commercials? I mean, the fact that we have 2 solid hours of talk. I mean, 2 solid hours of talk in terrestrial radio is like nearly a 5-hour show.
Yeah.
It's really a great place to be in. The Minister of Chocolate, our good buddy Justin out there at Yes Cacao, says, yes, enjoying every second with you guys. I wanted to let Jay know that Yes Cacao got a booth at KetoCon in Austin.
Get out of here.
You guys have got to get together.
We're going to meet. That's so cool.
Looking forward to meeting you and hearing your panel. Love you, Frank and Matt. The psilocybin in mushrooms turns into psilocine within stomach acid, or psilocin. Psilocine. Psilocyn.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Psilocybin in mushrooms turns into psilocine. If I'm saying that right, I don't know. With stomach acid.
Okay. So now I'm thinking of like aspirin. If he's okay, I'm going to ask him at KetoCon.
This is so good.
That is so cool.
So happy you guys are going to be meeting.
So he sent me a little box of goodies while I was wearing my continuous glucose monitor, and his chocolate tested pretty awesome. And I've got a new set of glucose monitors, and I saved some chocolate so that I could like officially experiment on them. So I've been holding on to this box that he sent me months ago. I have not eaten all of his chocolate because I wanted to test it against a new blood sugar meter. So that's how much I respect his product. So I didn't eat it all. I saved it so that I could experiment with it.
What are you looking for? Are you looking to eat the Yes Cacao and try and monitor whether or not it will shoot your blood sugar up like Hershey's will?
Exactly.
Or whether it'll actually remain stable, therefore thus proving that it's more of a botanical health food than anything else.
Yep. You want to avoid those huge blood sugar excursions, and then of course he puts some amazing botanicals in there that have nutritional value. So it's actually, I mean, in a lot of ways, chocolate, depending on how it's made, can be considered a health food. So, and let me tell you something, KetoCon has a policy. They don't allow vendors to have booths that have products that have questionable ingredients. So, because I know the organizer, and so the fact that he's going to be there says a lot about his product. So he should be happy and proud. That's great.
I don't know what Justin at Yes Cacao, which is on the affiliates page on quitefrankly.tv, by the way. I don't know what Justin has done in the past, but I would be very excited if I were him, because like you said, if you get into KetoCon, he must have passed some kind of a sniff test. But the fact that you are about to provide him potentially with some really great clinical data, is that's going to be really good for him.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to talk to him about getting some of those chocolates at the retreat this year.
Congratulations, Justin. You have some good things coming your way. Let's see here. Over on Rockfin, Chuck Sellers says, is leaky gut sufficient to raise C-reactive protein to abnormally high levels, or is there likely some other significant inflammatory concern?
So C-reactive protein, CRP, is a general marker of systemic inflammation, so it's non-specific. So if you have elevated CRP, basically it's a crapshoot, right? But it's good. It's a good test because it's an independent risk factor for heart disease, and it does tell you the body is dealing with something. But you can have elevated CRP even after a workout. But I would say if you also know you have leaky gut, for sure, it can definitely cause that. So again, removal of any offending food, that's always the first phase. If there are foods that are causing the issue, grains, that's what I also meant to mention about the alpha-gal. I would remove grains and wheat and all that stuff because that's just irritating the gut. So we want to seal up that gut, so get away from those foods. Similar, if your CRP is related to your leaky gut, it's not just gluten-free. You've got to remove grains, you got to remove wheat just for a while. You can nutritionally, you're not going to miss them, but they could make a big difference in terms of the gut. And I would be curious how they know they have leaky gut, or maybe it's just a suspicion. There are some tests you can do, but the short answer is yes. Leaky gut can definitely lead to inflammation.
Chuck also said that tick was obviously gay. So
that one definitely.
So you don't want to mess around there. Okay, let's see here. That's a little bit on Rockfin. Let me go back to Rumble. Tropical Rocket says, is olive oil bad for you?
No, it's good. Good it's a monounsaturated fat, so it's much better than the polyunsaturated fat. So the ones you want to stay away from are the canola, soybean, safflower, sunflower, those oils. Those are in all processed foods. Olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil are the only plant fats that I would use. But I would not cook in avocado oil.
Okay.
But avocado oil and olive oil are monounsaturated fats. That refers to basically their chemistry. So they're less likely to be damaged by heat and light. So they're less prone to oxidation.
Okay.
So olive oil is good.
You said olive oil. You said avocado oil and what?
Coconut oil.
And coconut
which is
oil.
highly saturated, which is why it's so good.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, because I've heard people just saying that they'll have a tablespoon of coconut oil just off the spoon a day.
Yeah, you can do it.
As part of like a daily, depending on what they're working through or whatever. First principles on Rockfin on Rumble Rant. This is an interesting one. Says, considering you guys are all from the Northeast, how concerned are you about now finding dioxins in your local produce?
I'm even looking at where the bottled water is coming from now.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have as much information as I would like. Although the farm did send out an email about that.
I saw that.
They're monitoring it, so that's good to know they're aware of it.
They also said the farm said that in Pennsylvania, because they are in western Pennsylvania, they're closer to Ohio. They said they've been monitoring the air quality, and that right now, because all of the cows are stabled and all that,
right,
they're eating all of the fermented hay from. They're not grazing right now. They're eating all the fermented hay from last season.
Yeah.
Smart.
So
they should probably put some fans around too to blow the air away.
Shoot, I don't know.
Big fans.
I just honestly, whenever I take the tap water out and I put it into the Berkey, I just hope that the Berkey's able to get all that shit out.
Well,
what if it is there? I don't know.
I really like Mike Adams a lot, and he tested a Berkey specifically and it tested as one of the top filters. So I would, if you're gonna get it out of there, a Berkey's gonna do it.
Yeah, that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if Blue Monster Prep has any carries any water filters or whatever, but get yourself something like that. It's one of the greatest ways of getting yourself independent. Obviously, every house has running water, but you don't have to drink it that way. Do something to it that your local water filtration plant is not going to do. So,
I also just mentioned that if you're on the subject of pesticides or chemicals, we could do a whole show on glyphosate because that's the most used pesticide in this country. But what's interesting about glyphosate is it tends not to bioaccumulate in animals. So that's another reason, not to make plants the base of your diet, especially if you're eating non-organic plants.
Right.
But in animals, there was just a study published on that they found virtually no glyphosate in any of the animals or the dairy. So for some reason, the ruminant animals are able to non-bioaccumulate the glyphosate, whereas all the other plant products tested positive. So it's very important because glyphosate is extremely dangerous to the mitochondria.
I
don't think I use anything with that in it. Would that go by another name?
Glyphosate?
Yeah.
It's the active ingredient in Roundup.
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's the weed killer.
I think it's like by.
It's the Monsanto.
Something. Yeah.
It's the Monsanto Agent Orange.
Now it's Bayer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's the company that makes your aspirins too.
Yeah,
Bayer.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah.
All right, let me rip through Foxhole real quick, and I think we're almost good. We may have a little spillover. Who knows? Thank you, Cave Toad. Says hi, Matt and Jay. Cave Toad again says, Jay, I've stopped statins, feeling better, and my memory is improving. What are bad things I should watch for?
Wow, how cool is that, man? God, I love that. Well, I mean, if you've stopped the statins. So bad things in terms of, I would assume that if you had muscle aches or you said you had brain fog because you've now noticed that that's cleared up, start to pay attention to some of those symptoms improving. The only, I wouldn't say bad thing, but the only thing you're going to have to now battle your doctor or cardiologist is that your cholesterol levels may go up. But that's not, in my opinion, that's not a bad thing. What I would watch out for is the ratios. So the thing you want to care about the most, not total cholesterol, not LDL cholesterol, your triglyceride to HDL ratio. You want that to be either 1-to-1 or less. So lower triglycerides to higher HDL. If you've got that going on, you're in good shape.
Okay. Paulie9363. A lot of Blackhawk fans are for Rangers 2023.
Because of Kane?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
Are the Rangers on the hunt?
The Rangers picked up. I think they did. They picked up Patrick Kane.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I still have not signed on completely. I would like. I don't know. I can't. It's just a time thing. I always have a good time when I sit down with friends and I watch a game.
You go to a playoff game, a hockey NHL playoff game, is nothing like it.
I've never been. I only been to one NHL game. It was awesome.
It's incredible.
It was awesome.
And playoff games, if you're into it, is like nothing else.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Sean Joe, thank you. Purposeful says Happy Friday. Thank you, KDB. River Pike says Fun Friday. Cave Toad says, what are Jay's thoughts on shedding? Well, we were going to have a little bit of that on tonight. I mean, that's the big one.
I think it's real.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. But yeah, I would love, definitely let me know. And I don't even care if it's in a week or two. I'll come right back. I would just love to ask this question because I think it's super timely and your audience could really benefit from it.
Whenever he's on, whenever I get Dr. McCullough back, I promise you, you're going to be the next person I tell.
Great.
Rook Castle says bentane hydrochloric acid or apple cider ginger for stomach HCl balance and bile salts.
Great. Yep. Bile salts are great for fat absorption. But yeah, those are excellent. Excellent choices.
Stove, thank you so much. Rook Castle, again, Dr. Baker, orthopedic doctor on YouTube, is a carnivore guru with incredible testimonies on YouTube. Carnivore diet can cure ankylosis, spondylitis. What is that?
Yeah. He's going to be at KetoCon. He's going to be speaking at KetoCon along with myself and a bunch of other people. So Dr. Sean Baker. It's another autoimmune condition. So yeah, the carnivore diet has some serious testimonials. Sean Baker was on Joe Rogan, and yeah, he's great.
Jordan Peterson's talked about the diet too. It helped his daughter's eczema.
Yeah,
or
and
something.
and him, his autoimmune conditions and his cognition. I think he was suicidal at one point, and he stays on this diet specifically because of that.
Wow,
it's amazing.
Wow.
Yep.
That's another level.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to mental health.
He doesn't even really like it. He's doing it because it's the only way he can survive. So,
John Otter says interstitium and lymph verklempt here. Talk amongst yourself. Interstitium? I don't know what it is. I'll show that to you afterwards. Okay. Winston Dave says, how about fresh ground wheat or sprouted for bread?
So that's the best type. If you're gonna do bread, then get organic, obviously, get sprouted and sourdough.
I love sourdough.
Sourdough is delicious.
So those are the top quality breads.
You're talking about if I go into the kneaded bread tomorrow morning and I buy myself a nice circle loaf of sourdough. That's what you're talking about?
Well, I'll tell you, the dead giveaway of a good bread is that a good bread should be kept in the refrigerated section.
Well, I mean, it's fresh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then I would say just make sure it's organic, because we just talked about glyphosate, which is sprayed on almost all wheat. So make sure it's organic. And if it's sourdough, and if you can get it sourdough and sprouted, like they sprout the wheat berries before they make the flour, then that's the trifecta: organic, sprouted, sourdough.
I was so happy when you told me about sourdough, because I like making sandwiches, and if I got to give that up or pick and choose when I have my breads, but sourdough, I love it.
Yep, that's the only.
I love
pretzels.
it.
Yep, that's the one. Sourdough bread is the best. If you're gonna do bread, that's the best one.
K-Nuts says, Chemistry Chris here. We got my ex through Alpha Gal via micro dosing and clean eating.
Yeah.
Used quercetin too.
Awesome.
So it looks like you have a little bit of a foundation here then.
Beautiful. Glad to hear that. Thank you for that.
Okay. K-Nuts again says quercetin was for COVID, but she could eat beef afterwards. Didn't think of it until Jay said it. Well, listen, I told this to my who was I talking about this with just yesterday? They talking about their allergies, and I said, listen, you take the. Oh, I told Tracy. I told Tracy, because down in South Carolina, whenever these pine trees go down, we're talking about huge cumulus clouds of pollen, and her daughter, Tracy's daughter, is just getting ripped apart by it. And I said, you know what? Aside from cleaning out the nasal passages a couple more times during the pollen season, make sure that they're taking daily quercetin, because when quercetin was a part of my daily immune function protocols, and suddenly last April or May, whenever the hell I usually have a shitty week and a half of just like, I almost have like a tension headache for a week and a half. It's not bad, but I started getting this. with the quercetin, that was just not. I had 2 bad allergy days, and I blew my nose out with the nasal rinse, and I slugged a liter of salt water, and I was done.
Yeah.
But the quercetin was a big boost, and then I read into it a little bit more, and I saw, aside from it being a zinc ionophore, it is it's really great with allergies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's the same mechanism, and actually this paper actually mentions COVID in there too. So that's really good testimonial. So I feel like I'm on the right track. So that's good.
Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to release the scratching over there. We're done with the Foxhole. I think we are all done with the Rumble rants. Thank you so much. And one last roll. Jesse Woke. I missed your last one. Oh, hey, Jay, Matt. Glad you guys are here. My buddy just did 36-day strict lion diet. He wasn't terribly overweight, but dropped 30 plus pounds from 240 something. I know you guys are pro keto, but what are your thoughts on the lion diet? What is that?
I think I don't know what the protocol is, but that's the Michaela Peterson diet, I think. So it's got to be. I mean, it's probably carnivore. I'm gonna say. Let me just look it up real quick.
By the name of it, I would say that you stalk and kill your own prey and eat it raw.
You have to you
gotta walk around the supermarket like real.
You just bite the neck of anything that you see.
Let me just see real quick.
While he's, let's see here. And then I have one line. No more super chats, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate so much. We'll do more in the next time that Jay comes back. But we had one more here from Poopy.
Yeah, it's basically a carnivore diet. Yeah,
it is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely. I think you don't have to adhere to it long term. You can. People have done it for decades and been just fine. But it's a fantastic elimination diet.
So then what would be the difference between carnivore and keto? Keto, there's more vegetables involved?
Keto is just low carb.
Okay.
So you can there are still certain vegetables you can eat. There are still certain fruits you can even eat on a ketogenic diet, as long as you're keeping your ketones elevated or your carbohydrates low, depending on how you want to look at it. But a carnivore would be void of plant products.
Gotcha. Okay. My fruit season is usually the summer.
Yeah,
that's when I'm busting ass outside, and then there's nothing like just taking down the watermelon and everything else, and it just hits you faster, it hits you better, and you use it more. You don't not just sitting around with it.
Well, there's a reason a seasonal approach to eating makes sense,
right?
And that's exactly why.
Poopy, the last one of the night, says apologies if already mentioned, but just freed up and didn't want to miss it. Frank, don't read this. Read that. Oh. See, everybody always says that after they say it.
You got to put that first.
Frank, don't read this. Jay, can you briefly mention the best oils to cook with? You just did.
Okay, yeah.
I know to stay away from sunflower.
Yes.
What about grapeseed?
No.
Horrible, right?
Yep. I mean, not for cooking. Again, I mean, I'm not a fan of these polyunsaturated fats anyway, but some of them you could make the argument that they would be okay to be consumed raw, like as a dressing or something, but you do not want to heat any of the polyunsaturated fats.
Got you. And that's the other thing. I mean, it was just over a couple of days ago, Lauren has been trying to find, because I know you gave us now a recipe for homemade mayo, and we were trying to find ways to get away from Hellmann's and everything else, because we saw the seed oils in there. And she went and got the Sir Kensington, which I love their I think it's their sriracha.
Okay.
Oh man, I love that one. I think it's their sriracha. But I sent you a ingredients list, and she thought, okay, well, it doesn't have any of this other stuff, but there's sunflower oil in that. It sounds harmless enough.
Sure does.
And for the average man, woman that is out there and trying to lead a nice, healthy life, it's incredible just how most people just, all the choices you have, you think you're doing something good for yourself. What is it about sunflower oil?
Well, it's just the fatty acid ratio. So it's high omega-6, and that's the problem, right? I mean, they call this whole series of oils vegetable oils, despite the fact that they're not made from vegetables. So I mean, it's really a ingenious marketing campaign, because if you called them what they are, which is industrial seed oil, I don't know, they'd just be a little bit less appealing probably.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it all comes down, those oils. Well, one, it's the omega-6 to 3 ratio. So that's omega-6 tends to be more pro-inflammatory. Omega-3 tends to be anti-inflammatory. So you don't want that ratio to be too out of whack. And in our diet, it's way geared towards omega-6. So that's a problem. But secondly, it's the processing. You think about getting an oil from seeds like that, how many, like the absolute quantity of seeds you would need to get that much oil, you could never eat that many seeds. So you're also getting, not just the ratio is off, but you're also getting absolute quantities that are too high. Whereas olives can actually be pressed, avocados, coconuts, those things can actually be pressed, and the oil, and there's plenty of oil in there. But seeds, it's not like that. There's a heavy industrial process that goes into that. They have to use solvents. Sometimes they have to use high heat, and that further denatures the oils. Then they have to be deodorized and bleached because they smell rancid. Jesus. Yeah, the processing. If you ever if you go on YouTube, watch the video of how they make, like canola oil or any vegetable oil, you'd never ever touch the stuff. It is like a pure industrial waste product.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But when you see it on an ingredients list, you're like, oh,
it's a vegetable oil.
They press some sunflowers.
How can that be bad?
like what's wrong with a sunflower seed?
Exactly.
Jeez.
Because you would take, whatever million sunflower seeds, and then you got to, again, put it through that whole process, and
put them into a press, and then all of a sudden there's the drop of oil.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Okay, so then before we end then, without going out and finding a recipe to make your own mayo at home, which is not many ingredients from what I saw.
No, it's very simple.
What is there any mayonnaise? Oh, avocado mayo. That's what you would say.
So I use a brand, no affiliation, but Primal Kitchen is a great line of condiments. So ketchup, mustard, mayo, everything, and none of them have seed oils. They, they're all super, super clean, and they're great. So if you're gonna do that at home, the farm might actually have mayo, because I know they have ketchup. But if you're in a grocery store, then look for Primal Kitchen. That's a good brand.
I got to say, Lauren and I, we used the avocado mayo, and I was really nervous about it because I can't I'm like, all right, let's just give it a try, and it wasn't bad.
It's good,
I
right?
used it, especially with mixing up tuna and stuff. Yeah. It doesn't mix in as good as the Hellmann's.
I could see that.
So, but it takes a little extra. But Aurora did not go for it, so we have to figure something else out because she likes tuna now. And
well, definitely. So I gave you the recipe, Maria Emmerich. She's sort of a low carb guru, and she has recipe books. She has a carnivore cookbook. She has this cookbook. She has multiple mayo recipes. Some of them are more intensive than others, but they're relatively simple. If you start making it on your own, you can also make it in bulk. So
that's it.
It's a great way, and I bet, and you could probably tweak it to the way Aurora likes it, which is even better.
Well, geez. Well, Jay, thanks again. Matt, it's great to have you back, too. I think that this was great hanging out, all three of us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Without kicking off an entire third and fourth hour, let's just say thank you to everybody, and I hope you guys have good weekends, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah.
So for everybody to find you, perpetualhealth.co.
Yes, and the retreat this year is open now. You can go to perpetualhealth.co, and you can sign up if you're interested in coming. It's September 21 through 24 in Vermont. We're going to do all the things we talked about. We're going to have a chef there that's going to be cooking for you in this way. So if all these things were interesting to you or you want to learn more, we actually had the chef do a class one of those nights too, where he actually takes you through the process. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. You can follow me also on Substack, which is where there'll be I have all of March already programmed for articles coming out. So that's just perpetualhealth.substack.com. And then of course, Instagram, perpetualhealth.co.
You just don't stop working. I love it.
It kind of feels like that sometimes.
No, I know. Hey,
and there's some things coming too. So I would say if you haven't signed up for the website too, sign up, because I'm getting together with some colleagues, and I think we're going to start creating that parallel economy that I was talking about, and it's not just going to be for retreats. So we're going to start to see people one-on-one with health issues, and we're going to start to bring, and it might not be directly with me, but I'll be looking at the labs, and I'll be looking at, I'm going to bring in some other people to start working with people, because I think you said it last time I was on, like, you're only one guy.
Right.
You can't help everybody, and I want to. So I'm going to bring in some people that I really trust, and so I think we're going to start to try to take care of people.
Man, I'll tell you, if you and a couple of people you trust were looking over my file to figure out what to do, I would feel like I was in good hands. I really do.
I hope so. And
I really do.
Yeah, and that's our goal. We want people to feel. I have a feeling that people are going to look at this differently than they've ever had a sort of medical experience. That's what we're hoping for. So.
And Matt, you start your steak and eggs journey again tomorrow.
Yes.
No, I'm gonna have to do it on Monday. Well, I didn't eat today. I think I'm gonna get chicken and broccoli and brown rice.
Okay. Well,
from a Chinese.
It's not that you get chicken's not that bad. The broccoli will try to fight you with its defense.
You don't
defense.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Reach out to you.
Just kidding.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
I'm more worried about the oils they cook that thing in. I ruin everybody's good time, Matt. It sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Buzzkill.
It's all right. Just tonight and tomorrow and then Sunday.
You know what? Sunday, let's just order Domino's one last time. Let's just have a big send off on Sunday, and then it's just beach body time after that.
Yeah,
right.
We're in March now, so.
Yeah, I mean it's hey, thankfully
get it done in like a month and a half, bro.
I've had a pretty good winter. I mean, ever since I had the stomach issue in the middle of January, that triggered about a week and a half of just like no consistency. But I've done very, very well compared to other years, so I'm feeling good about the summer.
Good.
I think I'm going to be in good shape by Mother's Day, actually, no doubt, real good shape. If we get some good sun, then I drag my dip and pull up station out into the middle of the driveway, so I'm doing it in the sun.
Yeah.
That's how I get my tans, man.
Nothing like an outdoor workout.
No doubt. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Go to quitefrankly.tv and you can enjoy the rest of this evening's weekend roundup, which is about to begin on quitefrankly.tv. The network stays live all weekend. We have good stuff for you lined up on Sunday as well. And I just want to thank everybody on Theta watching, on the website quitefrankly.tv, our buddies on Twitch, our buddies on DLive, Rumble, and YouTube. Thank you all. Wonderful big crowds over there. Make sure that you like the broadcast before you leave. That'll help us with all the on-demand views and the algorithm. Let's kick that algorithm in the face for the weekend. That'd be wonderful. And then on Rockfin, I appreciate all of your tips and your super chats, and it's made for some great, stimulating conversation. We'll see you on Monday. It's going to be a good one. Thanks again, Jay. Thanks again, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Poopy, Minister of Chocolate, Mitochondria Matt, Larkstar, Jenna from South Carolina, American Girl 3, Jesse Woke, Larkstar, Albert Frederick, Michelle on Wheels, Ben Allen Herferberger, Stowstube, Jenna from South Carolina, Gino, and American Girl. Thank you to all my friends on the Rumble Rants and, of course, on the Gold Pills and the Rockfin Tips. We will see you guys on Monday. Be good.
Think about it, though, Tone. So weight loss.
AIDS? Nobody's got AIDS. I don't want to hear that word in here again.